atop a throne of skulls.
Welcome, my friends. I hope you're all doing well and that you all had an excellent holiday season. Today, guys, we're back with Season 4 of the Eternal Challenger League. So yes, we are in the top 4, and a couple quick updates. I have announced this in the past, but the Eternal Challenger League is now open to anyone who wants to try. And throughout the course of the stream, we will drop links to the Discord channel, my weekly tournament Discord, where you guys can play. So today we actually had 42 competitors. A lot of names you guys have seen before, some new faces as well. And of course, these two folks you see right here are some of the finalists, which we will be casting. And of course, we'll be casting the semifinals as well as the grand finals. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tail of the tape and see what was going on today. So I might need to adjust this a little bit. Looks like it's a little bit clunky, but nonetheless, we should be able to get this here. All right, 1 second here. Let's get you down like this. Oh man, this thing is just totally not having my business right now. All right, this should be fine. So if you guys take a look over here, let's go back to the front side of the bracket. So you can see we did have a pretty healthy tournament with 42 players today. So this is essentially the new format. We're going to have as many players as whoever wants to join. And then the top 4, so essentially the semifinals and the grand finals, are going to be cast live here on stream. Yeah. And also, I'm going to be updating that trailer with some of the new stuff from some of the newer trailers that we've gotten. So it should be quite a bit of fun. So you can see here, as far as the tail of the tape goes, we're still waiting on the top side of the bracket, but we are going to be starting with Ulrich Rahl and A-Move Hacker here from the bottom side of the bracket. Ulrich with a 2-1 win against Malekith, and then he was able to go through with a 2-0 against Hadries, and was able to win against Namru as well, and now has made his way to the semifinals. So a very good run, only dropping 1 game against Malekith earlier in the day. A-Move Hacker here, you can see here, he faced off against the Ching and was able to go 2-1. He faced off against Central Scrutinizer with a 2-0 victory, F-Pod with a 2-1 victory, and now he's here in the final part of the day. So on the top side, we have Tank of Clan VM, and Tank was able to have a pretty good run as well, winning 2-0 against Aki down here, and then facing off against Exploding Hamster in a very, very close series. Despite the fact it was 2-0, they were some very, very good games. And then Tank was able to win 2-0 against Aneurysm Sauce, and now is here awaiting his opponent, who is potentially Vicious Satsuma or Hexus. Vicious Satsuma winning a 2-1 victory over Felcon, and Hexus here with a 2-1 victory over the Wash Tub. So certainly some very good games across the board, but I think without further ado, let us go ahead and get this party started and jump over to our first game of the day. Let's go back here and yeah, have some fun. It's going to be good. So we'll let the players know. Start when ready. Let's do it to it. And the first map is going to be on Angui. Yeah, guys, and also it's a little bit different. In the Eternal Challenger League before, players could only attempt to qualify once. So seasons 1 through 3 had that rule, but now players can play every week. So even if a player lost today, they can try and qualify again next week. It's going to be fun. It's going to allow players to try multiple times and, get some faces coming back for revenge. Should be quite solid. Should be quite solid. We got Ronan in chat saying he was deleted by Felcon in the first round. Yeah, well, no, that's normal. It's happened to me many times as well. Don't stress it, man. Nice try, Brave Soul indeed. Yeah, and the pairings are all randomized. So basically once the players are all signed in and checked in and everything, we just kind of randomize those bad boys. So again, guys, thank you so much for joining. It's going to be a good time. And yeah, this will be going on every week. I was actually in Poland. It was amazing. We went and stayed with Lady Turin's family, and we had an amazing time. It was great. Like basically, I was just disconnected from everything for about 10 days, and we just painted miniatures, hung out with her family, hung out with her pets, feasted like the heathen kings of old. There is nothing like the food that a Slavic family provides. It was pretty insane. I'm half Italian myself, and I have some Italian folks in my family that are more traditional, I suppose. But I mean, man, the Slavic feast we had, it was insane. Like I gained 10 pounds. Like I think I was like 179 pounds when I went out there, 180, and when I came back, I was like 187, 188 or so. So, oh my god, the kielbasa, the pashtet, the kompot, just the pierogi, it's so good. So good. Jonas West says, hey, Turin, a friend and I play online 2v2, and we want to challenge you because we are tired of all the easy wins. Well, Jonas, make sure to join the my multiplayer Discord channel, and we'll get you in some games. And you can play in these tournaments. If you want some hard opponents, I mean, you'll find them here. That's for sure. Oh, yeah, we had some pierogi for sure. It was really good. They're with mushrooms, and I think we had some with cabbage as well. Oh, you know what else is really good? Is this Polish food called bigus. Oh, man, I think that might be one of my favorites. It's really, really delicious. Yeah, we feasted like the heathen kings of old. I gained so much weight. Oh, man. So yeah, guys, this is the first qualifier of Season 4. So it's pretty crazy. We're on to Season 4 already. Feels like the leagues have been going. Time flies. It's going to be only a blink of an eye before Game 3 comes out, perhaps. Really looking forward to that. And yeah, we got 262 folks in here. Welcome to the stream. For anyone who's joining for the first time here, it's been a while since I streamed, and I know we've got some new faces. This is my competitive league that I run perpetually year-round. And basically, we start a new league whenever there's a new DLC, so it goes over the course of that time in between. Yeah, we'll drop a link to the Discord. If there's any mods here, please drop a link to the tournament Discord, and we'll get some new folks in there. But if they don't worry, I will drop it over the course of the stream. So here, guys, we have Yelling Philip, who's a move hacker, so he's going by an alias today. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and take a look at his army. It's going to be his lizards facing off against the Empire of Ulrich Rahl. Some very, very cool stuff. So for the forces of the lizards up here, they have Source Old Blood, which is pretty standard stuff. You get the Amulet of Itzel, which is very nice against Empire because of their focus fire. So if you're taking handgunner fire, you get netted. There's some sniping going on. You can pop the Amulet of Itzel, and that bad boy is going to be super, super tanky. Got a couple Cold One Knights, looks like. Oh, Horned Ones. So coming in with the Horned Ones. So these guys are not like an anti-Largian, but they're more of a generalist. They just have really, really raw, aggressive power. 45 melee attack, 60 weapon strength. These guys are certainly no joke. And they'll be pretty good against like Empire Knights, and probably will trade somewhat effectively against Demogryph Knights. I'm not really sure about how that trade goes, but yeah, pretty powerful. So he's got some Cold One Spear Riders for his infantry corps, a bunch of skink cohorts with javelins, which are more than enough to deal with Empire infantry. I mean, they'll lose a battle against like swordsmen, but with their javelins and the dual purpose they provide and for the cost, they do very well against the Empire infantry, in my opinion. Swords do as well. Skinks in the back line. He does also have the cohort of Sotek. It looks like a lot of Cold One Spear Riders, so mainly a kind of a cheap skink army in the front line with a very, very, very heavy cav presence. So Cold One Spear Riders here, Horned Ones on the far side, more Cold One Spear Riders, and he does have a couple Skink Chiefs on the ground, though, just one, and a Skink Priest of Heavens, probably going to be trying to wind blast those handgunners and some of those other Empire kind of battle lines that are very, very tightly packed. Now, let's take a look at the Empire army for Ulrich Rahl here. He does have Karl Franz up in the sky, Gal Maraz, and Reichland Runefang. He's ready to party for sure. Sterling's Revenge in the back, Hammer the Witches, or Hellblaster Volley Gun in the corner. Very, very cool pick. And yeah, this thing can shred, most armor. Very, very good against cav builds, actually. So potentially could be quite solid if it doesn't get compromised too quickly. And the rest of the Empire army is going to be here in the forest, and it looks like it's going to be a bunch of Empire Knights. yeah, it's Empire Knights into the Sunset, Royal Outdwarf Gryphites, Pistoliers, and a couple grenade launchers as well, 2 of those bad boys. So the one thing this army may struggle with is the large. I mean, he doesn't have too much AP in this respect. I mean, the Royal Outdwarf Gryphites and Franz can certainly cut apart enemy cav units, but Empire Knights will lose to Cold One Spear Riders, so it's going to be a little bit touch and go there, but I'm quite excited. King Agizal coming in with a $10 donation. Cheers for the new ECL. Cheers to 2020. Thank you so much for all the free content. Hey, it's my pleasure, man. Thank you for sticking around. And limited power indeed. So here we go. It is time. Yeah, the Gryphites should do pretty well. I mean, Gryphites will beat the Horned Ones for sure. I mean, Gryphites are kind of a whole nother level of power compared to regular Demogryph Knights, but let me make sure the players aren't waiting for me. They're just saying ready. Good sportsmanship all the way around. He does have the Sterling's Revenge here on the far side, but I do not believe that he does have these silver bullets lurking in the shadows. Grenade launchers will be very good against skink builds, but skinks, of course, have some good counterplay themselves. Chameleons can range these guys. I mean, not... The grenade launchers have a little bit more range, but with the speed of the skinks, they can generally close the distance in conjunction with the poison. But also these skink cohorts with javelins do have the javelins to throw at those guys. So it's going to be hard to get value from the Pistoliers for sure. I really like A-Move's army here. I think it has some good answers against the Pistolier play. But again, the Empire Knights and even the baseline Empire Cav units can really ride down skinks very effectively. However, there is a nice buffer here. But yeah, the Hellblaster Volley Gun, really going to be the X factor of this game. Quite excited to see how that goes. So the Empire taking up refuge here in the trees with its Pistoliers, and the little skinks are going to be surging forward. And skinks do have good missile resist themselves, but grenades are going to be coming downtown, and the skinks are going to be falling back, looking to not take too much damage from that initial volley, but the grenades will really shine against the more tightly packed skinks. So the cohorts, the cohort of Sotek here on the far side, and that's where they're really going to be buttering some bread. So the Empire, pretty much no infantry, really. I mean, they have a couple spearmen, but not too much. They also have a Jade Wizard on the ground with Earthblood. That's the only spell he brought. So we're going to see some Earthbloods being dropped, I'm sure. So right here, you can see the Sterling's Revenge going to be opening up, I would guess, on the cohort of Sotek. It looks like they're kind of moving forward, trying to get an arc of fire on those guys. On the far side of the map, you can see grenade launchers with Outriders, or Outriders with grenade launchers. Sorry guys, it's been a while since I've cast these games here, but they're being forced back right there. The skinks doing a very, very good job. But the grenades in a very, very tightly packed formation of skinks here, despite the tree line getting some okay damage. So far, relatively even trading going on so forth as far as the skirmishing goes. But the problem for the Empire is when they get backed up into a corner, the skinks are able to get on the Hellblaster Volley Gun. That's where things could get quite scary. So what's it firing at? So the Hellblaster Volley Gun looks to be going after some skinks. Oh, it's going after the Skink Priest of Heavens. And I have a feeling that Franz, he smells blood in the water, and he's going to be going to pound out the Skink Chief. But again, there's a cohort of Sotek and some poisons nearby, but it actually looks like he's going to be landing amongst the cohorts. Interesting choice. So here we have the main fighting. It looks like some Empire Knights going to be riding into the Skink cohorts with javelins, getting some freebies there. But now the Lizards are going to be closing the distance, and the Empire either has to lose the Sterling's Revenge or they have to fight. So the Empire's going to be countercharging here. They do have the Royal Outdwarf Gryphites coming in, and they get a pretty big Alpha Strike right here onto the Cold One Spear Rider. So a little bit of a good engagement there for the Empire, but now comes the Empire strikes back. The Lizards strike back. The Lizards are going to be coming in with the Popcorn Pohawk cohort. Those guys getting a nice countercharge on those Empire Cav. And Franz is definitely needed here. He's kind of wasting his time fighting the cohort of Sotek, taking some unnecessary damage. In this blob fight, this is where Franz shines. He has the Midland Runefang, which is going to be giving, not Midland, but the Reikland Runefang, which is going to be giving melee attack and leadership. He needs to buff up his boys. So there it is, Reikland Runefang. Yeah, why do I always get that one wrong? Reikland Runefang is popped, so suddenly these Spearmen are pretty jacked, rocking some good combat stats. Earthblood is going down as well, and the Empire's doing a pretty good job kind of securing its position. Its skirmishers are being forced back by the Chameleons, but here comes another fight as well. The Pok cohort getting 2v1 by Empire Knights, and just the sheer volume of these Empire armored kind of contingents here might be able to wear down the Lizard Cav. So in the front line, it looks like some Empire Cav have been pushed back here due to the pressure of the Saurus Old Blood, able to push those guys back. And in the front line, the Spearmen, it looks like there's 85 Spearmen here, just wavering, pretty much full health. But the Sterling's Revenge pretty much compromised, and so far it's a pretty close game. The Hellblaster Volley Gun to the back, shooting into the blob pretty happily, but there are some skinks coming in. So if Ulrich Rahl doesn't see this coming, these skinks could potentially shut down the Hellblaster Volley Gun, which would be pretty disastrous. A nice little javelin volley coming in there. Going to be doing some damage, but he should pull forward these Spearmen and these other troops to try and kind of hold those guys back. So here comes Franz, going to be jumping downtown, going after the Horned Ones, going after the Skink cohorts, just trying to get his hands dirty here in this fight to help out the Empire Knights. Now, are the Royal Outdwarf Gryphites still fighting? They are. They still have 20 of 24 models in relatively good shape, but now the Lizards have cracked the front line. So you can see the Sterling's Revenge and some of these other troops here, the Spearmen boys, have been broken off. So the Lizards potentially have a line here into the back. And yeah, these skinks, really, really good choice against the Empire skirmishing. Pistoliers really going to have a hard time dealing with Chameleons with their missile resist. And what's cool about Chameleons is they're actually not bad in melee combat, so they can probably fight the Pistoliers up close as well. Yeah, it'll be a pretty important fight here. We have Karl Franz with Golmaraz. The hammer has been activated. His anti-large bone is beating into the Saurus Old Blood. He does also have the support of the Gryphites We have a nice little anchor and buffer of the Empire Knights, but now that those guys are routing off, the Skinks are going to be able to swarm in, making those Demogryph Knights with halberds exponentially less effective. Now, it looks like the Lizards are getting the upper hand here in this engagement, as the Empire is being forced back a little bit, but the Hellblaster Volley Gun's still shooting, but its time here is short. You can see the Hellblaster Volley Gun up to 84 kills, certainly not bad. Going to be getting rode down here by these Golden Riders, and that should pretty much seal its doom. As those, oh, those are actually horned ones. Those angry horned ones. Able to get in there and give the business there to that juicy Hellblaster Volley Gun. So if we look up in the sky, Karl Franz has fallen back. Balance Fire is still pretty even. I mean, most of the Lizard army isn't like super high quality. It's mostly somewhat beat up skinks, but the Empire doesn't have too much left as well. They have a Spearman here. I think Franz is going to have to get some insane picks. He's going to have to like pick off this Saurus Old Blood, or maybe take out the Skink Priest here. Nice little Wind Blast coming down right there. Really wrecks those Spearmen coming in from the Lizard Caster. And it looks like A-Move Hacker might be moving into a somewhat commanding position. The skirmishers of the Empire here are being pushed back. See these Pistoliers, not in the best shape, relatively low on ammo as well. There are some grenade launchers, but Chameleon Skinks are such a good answer against Skirmish Cav. And you can see A-Move coming in here with the big angry dinosaur. The Saurus Old Blood is able to get this round on old Franzy boy. And it looks like the Coldland Spear Rider is probably going to be able to get that caster there. The Jade Wizard going to get chased off by the Skinks as well. And yeah, I mean, if Franz could probably win this duel, but there's a lot of Lizard support nearby. There is going to be an Earthblood going down as well, and I mean, maybe the Empire could pull this out. It's going to be tough. The Jade Wizard here is going to be just getting feasted on by a bunch of T-Rexes and dinosaurs and Velociraptors, whatever other species you want to talk about here. So there goes the Jade Wizard. There goes the hero of the Empire, going to be getting pushed off the battlefield. Wizards coming in with their Saurus Old Blood, and just Franz is a little bit swamped. He does have Reichland Runefang pop, so he's going for the kill. He's just pushing through everything. He knows that's kind of desperation mode now. He really has to finish off that Saurus Old Blood if he wants any chance of getting this. I mean, maybe if he does that and gets like a terror out on some of the more low-tier Lizard troops, but even still, that's going to be a very, very tall order. So if we look around the battlefield, you can see the Sterling's Revenge have been pushed off. Pistoliers and other forces are on the retreat here, as the Skink Priest of Heavens is continuing to hunt these guys down. And what does the Empire have left? They have a couple Spearmen here. It looks like there may have been some troops rallying in the forest. Yeah, there's 81 Spearmen. So I mean, if Franz can kill the Saurus Old Blood and then make it last stand on top of these Spearmen, there is a chance for him. But it looks like Franz is in a very precarious situation, as now he's surrounded by a bunch of Coldland Spear Riders. He does have the Saurus Old Blood kind of wonking on him, and it's probably not going to be a good time for the old boy Franz. Granted, he does have the Gal Miraz, and if there is something that can pull Franz from the edge of defeat, it's going to be the legendary Warhammer itself. He does get a nice blow on the Saurus Old Blood, but the A-Move is not going to let that happen. He's going to pull back and let Franz kind of fight a horde of angry lizards, and Horned Ones in here now as well. Horned Ones, of course, have very, very good AP value, so those guys are going to be able to kind of chew on Franz to an extent. So some Spearmen coming back in. The grenade launchers are going after that little Skink Priest up there on the high ground, and the Spearmen of the Empire coming back in, but Franz is broken. And that's going to be game one in this best of three, going to A-Move Hacker. So very well played, a very solid technical game on both players. Some very unorthodox picks in the form of a Hellblaster Volley Gun, but nonetheless, it was very, very fun to watch. So let's go ahead and update the scoreboard here real quick. It's going to be 1-0 so far for A-Move Hacker. Again, this is a best of three showdown, so we're going to see how this one goes, and yeah, jump on over to game two. Yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. We're back. We're back in business. Franz tried his heart out there, but he was not able to pull out the victory. And now for the next map, we have the Sword of Tor Gold, one of my all-time favorite maps. It's kind of a cool Bretonnian map. It's actually a quest battle for a Wolfric, so something you guys will probably see in campaign. And GG. Next game. Did my GG not go through? There it is. Yeah, Gal Miraz tried, but you know, Franz escaped the battlefield, so he'll probably be back. Don't worry, guys. It's all good. And again, thanks to King Agizal for the $10 donation. Really appreciate it, man. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream so far. And we're up to 489 people. Life is good. I know it's Sunday. I know it's tough. Some of you guys have work. I'm probably going to try and schedule future ECLs on Saturdays instead, just to make sure that it's a little bit easier for you guys and you don't have to leave early as the event goes on. Yeah. Yeah. And there we go. So let's see what they pick next. So I'll let the players know they can start their next picks and bans. We'll also take a look and see what is going on with the other side of the brackets. Let's go ahead and minimize here real quick and see if they're ready. No, wow. So Vicious Satsuma, if you guys take a look here, let's actually jump over to the challenge cap here. You can see Vicious Satsuma and Hexus have been battling for quite some time, so it must be a very, very pitched best of three showdown between those two players. And of course, the winner is going to be going on to face Tank 3487, waiting on the top side of the bracket. Atop his Throne of Skulls. And of course, here on the bottom, we have Alric All facing off against A-Move Hackers. Of course, the winners of these two best of threes will be going on to the grand finals for good times. All right, so let's go back to the game here, see what the players are doing. Oh, are we getting a dwarf pick? So A-Move Hacker, guys, is going to take Clan Angren, and he's banning Tomb Kings and Skaven. And Ulrich All is going to be going for Dark Elves, which historically speaking have been a very, very good counter against the Dwarves. Granted, Amuf Hacker is certainly a very, very top tier Dwarf player, so you're going to get to see some schemes, to say the least. Adjazal, thank you for the $2 donation. I forgot to mention Do It To It. You know, the new Star Wars movie, I saw it, and the fact that it had Palpatine in it won a lot of points for me. I mean, I know it wasn't the best, but I really enjoyed the Palpatine scenes. Oh my goodness. He has one line. I shouldn't talk about it. A lot of you guys probably haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to hold off on that. Yes. Thank you, Modest. Appreciate it. I'm amazed to see that Total War players are using multiple factions and StarCraft tournament pros use only one race. That's very true. It's one of the things that keeps this game very enjoyable. Like, despite the fact that it doesn't have like a huge like esports scene like StarCraft, the fact that there's so much diversity in the factions gives it a ton of replayability in both campaign as well as multiplayer. It's like, if you're a multiplayer guy who spends like months just playing like 3 factions, you're getting a little bit bored of the game, just switch and try something new, and it's like you're playing a new game. It's very, very cool for sure. So, yeah. Yes. And Malekith is wronged us. You know, I wonder if, I have a feeling Amuf is probably not going to bring any of the Ancestor Ghosts. I mean, he could, but I think he just did that to kind of, you know, mind game his opponent. Because then his opponent's like, oh, maybe I should bring some magic damage to deal with the ghost, but then you don't bring any. It's one of the kind of perceived tricks of bringing, you know, Clan Angren, for example. So they do, of course, have access to the ethereal dwarf lords. Yeah, no, King Adrazal for sure. He was great. He was great. And yeah, this is best of 3, so if Amuf Hacker does win this game, he's going to be advancing on to the grand finals. And if Ulrich All wins, it will be going to a rubber match, game 3 here. Dark Elves certainly, historically, like I said, have had an advantage against Dwarves. Very cost-effective AP infantry, chariots, all kinds of stuff like that. What are you looking for, John?
Keys.
I don't think they're in here.
James just called me, maybe he needs to pick up.
All right, 1 second, guys, I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Players still picking their armies. Yeah, the new Star Wars wasn't as bad. It was much better than the Last Jedi or the second in the series. Sorry about the noise, guys. There's some doors opening and closing here. Hey, Turin, do you do the same faction versus same faction like Empire versus Empire? It's up to the players. They're more than welcome to, but most people don't like playing a mirror match. I personally really hate playing mirror matches and casting them. It's a little bit tricky to tell your units apart, and also from a casting perspective, it's not very fun to cast. Again, it's hard to tell what's going on in many circumstances, unless it's like a sub-faction like Avalorn facing off against High Elves. Typically, it's very tricky. Typically, it was very tricky. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, Ghost Dawi against Dark Elves, Soul Stealer can do some good damage against them, but I'm trying to think what other units... I mean, the Dark Elves could bring, you know, Lore of Fire for like fireballs and things like that, or... You know, they do, of course, have a Deathcaster, which is often a pretty common pick. Amuf Hacker, in my anecdotal experience, he usually plays with like Ironbreaker, kind of Helm's Deep type formations, maybe with some Gyrocopters to kind of support. So maybe a Faded Buna to melt like Nargrimling's Ironbreakers. And despite the magic resist, it is really good against them. So that is something we could see from him. We could see that for sure. Yeah, guys, good to be back. Good to be streaming once again. These are going to be probably a weekly series. Here and there, we may skip a weekend if I have something going on. But for the most part, it is going to be something that is going to be... every week. Yes. Yes. Philip is ready, standing firm. Amuf Hacker challenging the Dark Elves with the Dwarven battle cries. And yeah, Clan Angren. I mean, I'm trying to think what else. The thing about picking sub-factions, so this is something for newer players, whenever you pick sub-factions, it typically limits the lords you can pick. So you can only pick like Belegar, a Rune Lord, a Runesmith, etc., etc. So you can't pick like Ungrim or Thorgrim or things like that. But oftentimes sub-factions will have some unique units, or like followers of Nagash, but there are some like Clan Eshin, for example, that basically you're just nerfing yourself. You get a cool color scheme, but you can only pick like you know, Deathmaster Snitch. As a matter of fact, I think Deathmaster is a pretty strong pick. It looks like the Dark Elves are ready as well, so I'm going to start the battle here. And it looks like some last minute changes here to the Dwarf army as well. Chill of Sontar is not bad here, because even if the Dwarves focus fire him, he's like a distraction Carnifex, and if they're not able to finish him off and chase him off the battlefield or outright kill it, which is very tough, Oh, that bad boy comes back, and his breath attacks are also quite good against like tightly packed dwarf formations. So that is something to take into account. Piercing bolts could be really disgusting here as well. As you guys saw in some of the replays of the past couple days, it can do a ton of damage. It depends on the kind of box of the formation, but what's really powerful about piercing bolts is if you drop it on a cannon piece. So if there's a dwarven cannon, an organ gun, anything like that, it's going to be able to do some outstanding work and really take those things apart. Yeah, you struggle with this as Dark Elves, huh? Well, we'll see if we learn something new here for you, Ego. In my experience, just spamming AP infantry or even cheap infantry and chariots, the Medusa is actually pretty good here. In my opinion, the Medusa is able to really just wreck the Dwarven infantry. Granted, Dwarven missiles can punish the Medusa, so it's a little bit tricky, but I think Medusas might have a place in this matchup. Shades are pretty good as well. Shades with heavy AP and they have stock, so they can close the distance and really get those good angles. But, I mean, Dwarves can also, you know, it's a game of cat and mouse. It's really tricky in terms of like picking armies. If the dwarves go too hard on dealing with Dark Elf missiles like Shades, they can destroy them with like Rangers and Quarrelers and things like that. But if you do that, then you open yourself up to Chariot play. So it's a little bit about finding a nice balance there, in my opinion. Yes. I haven't seen the Mandalorian show yet, but Anna and I will certainly watch that. We're both pretty excited to see that. I've heard it's pretty good. Players loading in on the Sword of Tor Gold. There is some Vanguard opportunity. I suppose there's some force in places over here that the Dark Elves could Vanguard, but Dwarves, of course. I mean, you could see a mass Vanguard from the Dwarves, but typically probably not going to be super efficient against the Dark Elves, who would be happy to get to you sooner. So I don't think we're going to see that. Oh man, guys, I can't wait for Warhammer 3. DLCs have been great, though, especially the optimization of the campaign turn time. That's a pretty big one. That was really, really big. Like just being like I used to kind of dread playing Mortal Empires campaigns, especially on stream because of how long the turn times were. But now that that's been changed, man, life is good. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the build of Clan Angren. So he's coming in with the Rune Lord with the Rune of Wrath and Ruin. So just going to be using that to slow chariots and other high value assets. For the rest of his armies, miners with blasting charges. The charges themselves do very good damage against like Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter, which are actually somewhat meta in this matchup. So the miners with blasting charges could potentially be happy. Nor Goblins Ironbreakers, as expected. Miners with blasting charges here, and in the back he's got some more Ironbreakers, Grumbling Guard, and it looks like Dragonback Slayer. So like we guessed here for a move hacker, he is going to be going for what looks to be a dwarf box. On top of that, he does have a couple of very, very cheap artillery pieces in the form of bolt throws, which are good against chariots, Scourge Runner chariots. They can do some work against those single entities for sure. Up in the sky, we do also have a Royal Zawi Air Force, which can be shut down very heavily by Gyrocopter, but by the Harpy Play. But he does have the Gyrocopters with Brimstone Guns, and Brimstone Guns. So he has a lot of kind of focus fire there. He basically forces his opponent to box up around him, drop some bombs, focus fires down the chariots with the Gyrocopters, and potentially, avoids the Harpies. But yeah, the Harpies are existent over here. So for the forces here of Alric Rahl, he does have Malekith on a chariot, a sorceress, a beast with an Amber Spear. Amber Spear, if used effectively, will absolutely wreck that Dwarven formation. Will do so much work down the line of Ironbreakers if you overcast that bad boy. Coldblood Chariots here. It looks like there's not going to be any Scourge Runners, which actually aren't bad against Dwarves, but these guys, they do the trick for sure. So Coldblood Chariots, it looks like it's going to be Bleak Swords, some Sisters of Slaughter in the back. Pretty standard stuff there. And it looks like more Sisters of Singing Doom here in the tree line. And he does have the Crows of Cain. So he doesn't have like a ton of Harpy pressure. It's going to be a little bit tricky because these Harpies will get probably pulled apart by the Gyrocopters, but with their regeneration and their good defensive stats, they should be able to kind of occupy those Gyrocopters, which will then take pressure off the chariots and some of those other very, very important units. So it's a very good army. I think one thing that could improve it is maybe like 1 or 2 more Harpies, but aside from that, I think it's a very, very solid army. It has good AP, good penetration. Amber Spear could do some work. I also think that he probably should have brought a Manticore Summon, although Malekith does have Soul Stealer as well, which may be the result of the mind games coming in from Clan Angren, right? You're like, oh, I need a Soul Stealer to kill the Ghost Dwarves, but there's not actually going to be any Ghost Dawi. So here we go, guys. It is time. The forces move forward here, and you can see the Bolt Throwers shooting in, but there is a nice place to hide here for the Dark Elves. They're able to take refuge here on the low ground of this ravine as the Gyrocopters do surge forward looking for some goodies here. So we're going to see if they're able to get some shots. Some of the chariots shooting back at the Gyrocopters, but they should be able to easily dodge that focus fire. Bolt Thrower still shooting in as well. And the Gyrocopters probably want to conserve their ammo, not shoot at things like Bleak Swords, because oftentimes these battles go very long. But shooting at the Sisters of Slaughter here on the far side, probably going to be worth it, just not the Bleak Sword. So he's basically just juking the ammunition here while the Bolt Thrower is shooting in. And it looks like the Bolt Throwers have not made contact yet. Not the most accurate lads, but the Brimstone Guns do shoot in and do some okay damage against the Coldland Chariots, but mainly at this point in the battle, it's just going to be cat and mouse. And thankfully for the Dark Elves, they do have this little ravine at which they can hide. So yeah, we'll see. I'm actually excited to watch The Witcher. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Anna's a really, really big fan of The Witcher books and the games and everything, so we'll see how that goes. So gyrocopters with brimstone guns falling back here. Could potentially shoot downtown into Coldwind Chariots, but the Coldwind Chariots, what's their range? They have 125 range with decent AP, so it looks like them alone are actually able to kind of counter-skirmish the gyrocopters with some efficiency. But the Dark Elves basically just need to bide their time. They need to get the Beast Sorcerers on the far side of the formation here to get ready for that Amber Spear. And a move hacker must be aware of this. It's pretty obvious here. Ulrich Rahl is sending out his caster kind of on the wings, just rubbing his paws together, waiting to get that juicy Amber Spear. And the Gyrocopter Air Force is going to be coming in. And where are the Harpies? Now, Harpies have how much speed? 82 speed, gyrocopters do have 105, so with good micro, the gyro should be relatively safe. Now, if you have one harpy for every gyrocopter, you can basically just chase them and the gyros will never do anything, and from a cost perspective, that's good. Brimstone guns cost about 800, and harpies I think cost 600 or 700, something in that ballpark, so it's usually pretty good there. So Gyro's going to be taking some shots at Malekith. He does have Soul Stealer, so he's going to be able to heal that up pretty easily, I would imagine. Now the gyros are going to be falling back, and what are the bolt throwers shooting? So we see the bolt throwers facing this direction. Here come the Dark Elves from this side, the Sisters of Slaughter. It's going to be tough for the Dwarves to hold. Granted, Ironbreakers are very, very good against these pretty much all the infantry that have been brought here. Granted, the Sisters of Slaughter have pretty good sustained combat stats. So Bolt Thrower shooting into the Coldwind Chariots. Coldwind Chariots here taking, oh man, a ton of burst damage. Those Gyrocopters with their anti-large bonus really shrekking that Coldwind Chariot, taking that bad boy down to half health. Now, it hasn't lost any models yet, but that HP damage, very, very valuable before the main engagement begins. So Gyrocopters coming in with another volley. Man, devastating damage from the Dwarven Royal Air Force. Definitely very, very impressive. So Sisters coming around the far side here. They're going to be engaging on the weak side of the Miners, and A-Move Hacker definitely needs to make sure he gets the blasting charges off on either the Sisters or the Bleak Swords. Probably the Sisters are the better choice, of course, if you can, but you can't have everything in life. The Coldwind Chariots here getting taken out pretty hard here by the Bolt Throwers in conjunction with the Gyrocopters and the Dwarven defensive formation holding pretty well. A bit of a questionable decision sending in the Crows of Cain. So he sends them into melee combat against the Ironbreakers here, the Miners, and they're probably going to be going down with the pressure coming in from the Rune Lord as well. Granted, with regeneration and the poor damage output of Miners, maybe they'll be okay. So the first of the blasting charges coming in, going to be dropping some hot heat here on the Sisters. 5.6k HP down to 52 from just a couple of the charges. And it looks like the rest of them will be coming in just a moment, I would imagine. And it looks like Ulrich Rahl was able to fall back with those guys, so he should be A-okay there. Sisters on the backside of the formation have engaged, doing some decent burst damage against the Miners. And the Gyrocopters really having a field day out here. Granted, they're also getting beat up themselves, but they have been able to punish quite a few of the Chariots. One of them actually shattering and running off the battlefield. So the Dwarves are actually already ahead on the Bounce of Power in very, very good position. Dragonback Slayers coming in with the Rune of Wrath and Ruin being used to, I think, temporarily slow down Malekith, but it has worn off now. Soul Stealer coming down from Malekith as well, but the Dragonback Slayers, this is like a dream situation for these guys seeking their doom. Oh man, the Gyrocopter Focus Fire just nasty, and the Crows of Cain are on the run, so that was a huge mistake there by Ulrich Rahl. He needs to be using the Crows of Cain to shut down the Gyrocopters, because they're just having just a field day, tearing apart these Chariots, my goodness. And the Slayers able to get their paws on these guys, anti-large getting in there, they're slowed from the power of the Dragonback. And the ladies across the map are having a really bad time. Sisters of Slaughter can't really get in. And the Ironbreakers here are just holding firm. Bleak Swords just washing along the front line of the Dwarves as the Grumbling Guard and the Rune Lord able to smash those Sisters into oblivion. So it looks like it's going to be a relatively quick game for the Dwarves, which is something you don't hear terribly often, as these Gyrocopters with Brimstone guns just doing a number here on the Chariots. And the Bolt Throwers have pretty much been shooting this entire game. They have been compromised on a couple fronts, but for the most part, A-Move has done a very good job of protecting his artillery pieces here in the back. Miners with blasting charges, chasing down those Sisters, forcing them back, and the Bleak Swords here in company have broken. Ironbreakers are pretty much impervious at this point. Yeah, they're in great shape. I don't know if there's anything left on this Dark Elf roster that can do a lot against them. Let's see if there's something going on in chat. They're saying good luck, have fun. Gyrocopters up in the sky, continuing to shoot in. Malekith is he's going to be able to do some work, but with the Dragonback Slayers and the Bolt Throwers and the Rune Lords coming in, he's going to be dropping some attacks on Malekith as well. Malekith is going to be forced back, and I don't think he's going to be having too much fun this game. Now, as far as what the Dark Elves have left, they have a Coldwind Chariot, they have some Sisters who are just being worn down. The Crows of Cain have come back in, but it looks like the Grumbling Guard have been able to just cut them to shreds, and the Bolt Throwers just kind of singing this entire battle. I think one Bolt Thrower did get shut down. Yeah, it looks like it just got shut down just now, so for the most part, it was probably shooting this entire battle. So here in the pits, we have Malekith coming in. Miners with blasting charges, able to get in there. Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin has been popped. So Malekith is slowed, and the Slayers are going to be collapsing back in, potentially able to do some decent damage against the Coldwind Chariots. But against Dwarves, you definitely need to bring a couple of answers against Gyrocopters, especially since the advent, or the addition of the bonus first large onto the brimstone guns. So here, Norgrimling's Ironbreaker is coming back in. These dwarves are quite healthy, going to be coming in to stop the surge of Dark Elf infantry from the western side of this battlefield. Bleak Swords are going to be met by some true dwarven steel as these guys surge in, and they're going to make really, really quick work here of these Bleak Swords. They have the armor, they have better combat stats, they're just a superior unit pretty much every way. And the Druchii are going to be retreating from the proud dwarves of Clan Angren. That's going to be a 2-0 victory for A-Move Hacker. Well played. Well played. Yeah, the Dawi Air Force was no joke. The Dawi Air Force was no joke. Yes, Lady Turin did fight a venomous spider today. There was she bought some grapes from like our local store, and there was like a black widow in the bag, and she did glorious battle with it and slayed it, making her ancestors proud. So big props to Lady Turin. Big props. Spiders are quite terrifying for sure. All right, so that's going to be a 2-0 victory here for A-Move. Let's go ahead and update the challenge page. Then we have Tank facing off against Hexus on the top side of the bracket. All right, so we'll report the scores. A-Move Hacker is going to be waiting atop his throne of skulls in the finals, and now we have Hexus versus Tank. So let's go ahead and set up that next game. Go for finals. Boom. Alrighty, so now we can switch over to the bracket here and take a look. So if we go to the challenge bracket, you can see that, let's go ahead and do this. So we got to adjust it a little bit there so you guys can actually see it properly. There we go. So A-Move Hacker is going to be moving on to the grand finals of today's Eternal Challenger League qualifier, and Hexus and Tank are now going to be our next best of 3 of the day. So let's go ahead here and switch to our battle scorecards and get this all going. So Tank is in the lobby. Now we just need to get Hexus, make sure that he has access. Of course, in Total War Warhammer, there's all kinds of issues with getting in lobbies and things like that. So let's see this. You're up. Can you see lobby? Ajazal says anytime he sees Dawi wins, it warms his heart and he smiles. No, the Black Widow wasn't in bed. It was in the grapes. Like, it was in a bag of grapes that we bought from the store. Yeah. That's pretty gnarly. I bet you could, like, sue a store for that. Because that could, like, kill you. You know? It's pretty wild. So Tank is in. So let's go ahead and update the name tag here for him. Get the lobby all set, and we'll be ready for our next best of 3. Tank. The Tank. Tanking through all of the competition today. And yeah, and then his opponent is going to be Hexus with 2 X's, if I'm not mistaken. Hexus, like Texas, Hexus. Okay, so we're going to add him on Steam real quick. All right, there we go. There we go, indeed. And now we move on to our next best of 3 of the day. Good times all around. All right, looks good to me. Glad to hear that, Jarlin. I'm glad to hear it still does. Yeah, we fought the dreaded Arachnarok spider, or Anna did in our kitchen today. It was no joke. It was no joke. Oh, let's actually update his name, so he must be playing. Here we go. And waboom. Okay, it's a little bit small. I don't know if it's quite going to fit, but we'll do our best to get this bad boy on. So the maps, let's go ahead and switch here. It's going to be, I believe it's Angui. Yeah, we're doing the same ones. And then Sword of Tor Gold. And it's going to be the Essence of Chaos for our last map. All right. Cool. There we go. Welcome to the stream, guys. This is the second best of 3. I see we have 715 people. The fire rises And we go forth into this matchup in which it looks like it might be Beastmen and Skaven. I don't know if these two fine gentlemen have prearranged their matchups, but we'll find out here in a second. So I'll let them know. Start with picks and bans. Yeah, I feel like having opening a bag of grapes from a market and having a poisonous, venomous spider alive and kicking in there, feasting on your grapes is certainly a bit of an issue. But yeah, I guess it's probably not uncommon, right? Because they're just packed. And so we're gonna have vampire counts picked, and he has 2 bans. So in the best of 3 format, how it works is the player basically picks a faction, then they ban 2, their opponent then picks, and then it goes back and forth. And then in game 3, if it does go to a game 3 rubber match, they both pick and ban 1, essentially. There is a sequence to it and everything, but that's just kind of a simplified version of that. So he bans Lizardmen and Dark Elves, and now we're going to see what Tank picks. He has some pretty good options here. I wonder what he'll pick, though. I wonder what he'll pick. We'll get to the bottom of this. We will get to the bottom of this. We shall indeed. Shock me sane. I remember those days too, man. I remember when I got my... I think like the first like 2 months of YouTube, I got like man, I remember when I first started getting like the first month, I think I had like 34 subs by the end of the month, and I was so excited. Oh man, I still am. Like the childish excitement has never left. So it's going to be High Elves versus Vampire Count. So I wonder if we're going to see some Fire Pigeon play, or if we're going to see like the traditional kind of Halberd box. Obviously, Vampire Counts, traditionally, their historical play. There have been some changes. Vampires can now mix it up a little bit and bring like Graveguard builds. They could do that before, but it's a little bit more efficient now with some of the buffs Footlords have gotten, and of course Graveguard. But for the most part, Vampire Counts usually play a sniping style of play. So they're going to be coming in and just trying to Spirit Leech things and goon them with Terrorgeist and Vargulfs, and it's really the more common way you see them played in tournaments. So we will see. I don't think we're going to see Vlad. I don't think we're going to be seeing Vlad. I would love to see Vlad. I mean, he's good, but I don't think it's going to be the pick we're going to see. It definitely is. It would be a bold strategy, and honestly, it could catch him off guard. Like, for example, if the High Elves go with a Phoenix Guard, kind of Helm's Deep formation, right, where they're just turtling and trying to deal with your monsters, and you come in with like 3 or 4 Graveguard with great weapons, with like Corpse Cart support, like you can mow down the High Elf infantry, especially with a little bit of vampiric support. But yeah, I mean, there's a multitude of ways to play it, for sure. Vlad is too busy traveling the world these days. While I was in Poland, I actually got a chance to read a lot. So I was able to read, what's it called? I finished Demon Slayer, these are the Gotrek and Felix books. I finished Demon Slayer, I finished Dragon Slayer, and I also finished the one after it, which is, my brain's just a little bit fried right now. Demon Slayer, Dragon Slayer, and Beast Slayer. Yeah, it was really good. I think my favorite ones in the series so far are the Demon Slayer and then the Beast Slayer. Really, really cool books. Like some of the scale of the battles is very epic, and you get to meet some really cool characters. Like you get to meet the Tsarina of the Kislevites. You get to meet the Slayer King in a couple moments throughout the books. Really, really neat stuff for sure. And if you guys are interested in Warhammer Fantasy, honestly, just get the Gotrek and Felix books. They literally travel to like every part of the old world. Not every part, but to a large extent, they cover a lot of bases. So you get like a bit of a lore perspective on everything, and you really get to familiarize yourself with the world, which is good. Vlad would be cool if he rode a horse, but I feel like it's kind of like his style is just cooler if he's, on foot. Yeah. What makes Vlad a good Footlord compared to other classic OGs like Grimgor? So Vlad is better than Grimgor and other such Footlords like Sigvald because he has self-healing. He has, and granted Sigvald does too, but he has self-healing with the Hunger. He has a couple of really good items that make him very tough to snipe in the form of the Blood Drinker and the Ring. But he also has Lore of Vampires, which is one of the best lores of Magic in the entire game. So that's like, you can't really compare like Footlord casters. Like that's why Count Noctilus is a good Footlord. He's extremely tanky, he's got good combat stats, and he has magic. Now, if Noctilus didn't have magic, or if Vlad didn't have magic, they probably wouldn't be that good. But the fact they have magic and, of course, a couple items that make him even tougher to snipe, like, because the magic makes him a threat, right? Like, Grimgor, Sigvald, you can kind of ignore those guys for the most part. But Vlad, even if you're ignoring him, he's casting spells, he's healing things, he's very, very cheap. So, there are a couple perks to bringing such lords. So, one sec, guys, just checking something real quick here. And here we go. Here we go. Yeah, Anna threw away the grapes. Yes, Anna is the true Tsarina. Or I thought your cat was, Anna. I thought your cat was the Tsarina. And we were but the servants, you and I. Yeah, we're the royal court to Tsarina Koza, Anna's cat. All right, guys, so here for the game, we have Tank on the High Elves coming in with the Star Dragon, Alariel the Radiant, as well as the Fireborn. So looks like he's going to be going for some gooning of his own, as a Star Dragon with some fat healing from Alariel is very, very good against a lot of the vampiric threats. Now for the main line, it's going to be Swordmasters of Hoeth, 2 groups of Sisters, and another group of the Swordmasters of Hoeth. Man, a very, very small High Elf army. He does also have the Fireborn, a Star Dragon, Alariel, and I feel like he hasn't spent all of his money. Like, is that everything, really? All right, then. I guess that's everything. So, for the forces here of the Vampire Counts, an Arc in the Black, it looks like it's going to be Chillgeist up in the sky. He does have a Terror Goose, a Strigoi Vampire Lord, and some Fellbats on the far side. Now, the Strigoi Vampire Lord, I'm a huge fan of this guy. I think he's a powerhouse. If you look here, let's go ahead and find it. Ah, damn it. Damn you, Foul Beast. It's so hard to get that sometimes. So he has the Claws of Morcane, which give him some really good damage perks. I mean, 50% on top of the 420 isn't bad. But more importantly, he does have a self-healing ability, I think, but he didn't bring it, did he? No, he did not bring the Ghoul King of Bashuran. It's a really good ability. It's a free heal, so I don't know why he cut that, but anyways, he's got Fellbats. He's got a bunch of Graveguard, which will actually get killed very quickly by the Swordmasters. He's got some Banshees on ground for extra AP, but he does have a pretty good Goon Squad. The Terrorgeist and the Strigoi Vampire Lord, how will they do against the Star Dragon? Granted, the Star Dragon does have some support on the ground from the Sisters, but yeah, this is going to be a very interesting one. He does also have a Necromancer, probably as just a mana battery. The Chillgeist on the ground as well, and some very, very spooky units. So 1 second, guys, just pulling up chat once again. It's on my phone, so it keeps like trying to rest itself. Yeah, that's a very elite army for sure. I feel like he didn't spend all his money, but he must have. I mean, these are all expensive units. Fireborn are almost 2,000. Star Dragons are very expensive. Here comes a Breath Attack coming in from the Strigoi Vampire Lord, shooting into the Fireborn, only taking out 2 models, so not terribly catastrophic. But remember, healing coming in from the High Elves isn't able to resurrect models like it is from the Spooky Undead. Nice volley from the Sisters, able to take, a fair amount of HP off that Terror Goose over there. So far, so good for both players. And I wonder if the Fireborn are going to be committing to a fight here, maybe looking to pick on some Graveguard on the weak side of the formation. We'll find out, but the Swordmasters should have a pretty good time against this composition. There are some decent answers against them. The Chillgeists, of course, have decent AP values and can do some work there, but yeah, it's a little bit hard to say. So these Sisters shooting in, and there's not too much to protect the Sisters is the thing. Like, once the Vampires get in there and drop some summons, they're going to be forced into melee combat very, very quickly. So the Star Dragon going to be maybe winding up a Breath Attack, but I think saving the Breath Attack might be better. It looks like he was thinking about doing it against the Graveguard here, so I'm going to have a quick sip of tea. It's so cold right now in my house. We actually just ordered a heater, so my vocal cords are a little bit constricted from the cold, but nonetheless, we're warming up. That's some really good tea that Anna bought me. Delicious. So the first charge going to be coming in. These Graveguard going to be getting hammered very, very quickly. Oh, just the sandwich. And about half their HP bursted down immediately, but Arc in the Black going to be coming in with a counter charge from the Chillgeist, and it looks like a Tempest going down with some nice Focus Fire follow-up coming in from the Sisters, so that Terrorgeist on the far side might be taking a bit of a pounding, but oh, look at this! The summons of Crypt Horrors. So the Strigoi Vampire Lord has summoned Crypt Horrors here, which is very, very badass. But they're getting killed very quickly here by the Fireborn, it looks like. And I would imagine there's going to be a Star of Averlorn going down soon. So nice flank here on the back by the Vampire Counts, coming in with Crypt Ghouls, and a little bit of a slow reaction here from the High Elf support. These Swordmasters need to get in, but the Crypt Ghouls, man, just getting all over the Sisters, which is a very, very catastrophic situation. Now, one of the Gooses has been beaten up very badly, so at least the Sisters were able to get some decent value in that respect. Star of Averlorn's going to be going down as well, which unfortunately does not hit the Fireborn. That is a huge, huge mistake right there. And the Fireborn are not going to be getting the benefit of that healing, but nonetheless, they're still in okay shape and should be able to get some Earthbloods and other stuff like that. Now up in the sky, you can see Alariel the Radiant is getting a little bit pressured here by the Fellbats. One group of Fellbats in the back has been forgotten by Arkin, or maybe he's just leaving them in reserve, but I would imagine he actually forgot them. And the Goose is getting some pretty good attacks. The Star Dragon taking a bit of work, and the Star of Averlorn is actually, no, that's an Earthblood. Is now healing some of the Fireborn and those elite Cav units, and the Swordmasters were able to push through the Graveguard and company, and probably will get into the front, although I don't know why the Graveguard are pulled back here from tank. Those guys need to come in here and help these Fireborn out, because Fireborn aren't like designed to deal with things like Graveguards. However, if the Star Dragon breaks, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a huge, huge problem here for the High Elves, because at that point, the Vampires can simply push that bad boy off the battlefield, and it's going to be a bit of a precarious situation. So Alariel continuing to fight here. Looks like she's fighting against the Goose. She does have some support from the Fireborn, which if the Fireborn can maybe salvage that situation and free up the Star Dragon, maybe. I mean, the High Elves are doing pretty well in the ground fight. Most of the little ghouls and other troops like that are being punished pretty heavily, but a couple of powerful single entities still here on the battlefield here for the Vampire Counts is certainly going to be a very, very uphill battle for these boys. So the Counts here chasing down. You can see that the Fellbats are also going to be coming in to help, and the Fellbats are going to be a great distraction Carnifex, or not a Carnifex, but they're going to be a good distraction here against the Fireborn, just kind of targeting those guys. And the Star Dragon being chased off pretty effectively. The Haggard Strigoi Vampire Lord coming in with the Pimp Claws and really able to push off that Star Dragon, so causing some serious problems there. Fireborn here are broken as well. Now the High Elves do have a decent pocket of strength here. They still have a ton of Sword Masters, and there are some Sisters online as well. So if the High Elves are able to rally that situation, maybe they're going to have a pretty good chance. I mean, the Vampire Counts really actually don't have much in the way of infantry. Looks like there's some Graveguard here. There's some Fellbats up in the sky. They have some Ghouls fighting. They have some Graveguard fighting. But with the rear charge coming in from the Sword Masters, that's going to be pretty quick doom. Alariel probably also has Tempest as well. So for the Vampire Counts here, what they really need to do is actually shut down the Archers. If they can shut down the Sisters once again, that's going to be very, very powerful. And it looks like, oh, a nice Crypt Ghoul summon. The Crypt Ghouls, of course, good DPS against light armor. Sisters only have 40 armor, so there's some pretty powerful kind of a DPS that is going to be dropped here on the Sisters. Granted, they might be able to fight back, but hard to say. Alariel, of course, does magic damage, so her magic damage there is actually doing very, very well against the Banshee. But the Vampire's coming in for a big old punch right here. Chill Guy's coming in, Fellbat's coming in, and the Swordmasters, I wonder how they'll do. I mean, they have decent base combat stats, and though they don't have a bonus first large, oh, that's really strong. Alariel actually gives magic damage to all the Swordmasters, which is then going to make them cut through these ghostly units very, very quickly. That's really, really strong with the boon of Aisha. So this entire High Elf Death Star here actually does have magic damage, which is actually a huge game changer for sure. So here comes Star of Everlorn. Yes, Star of Everlorn going down right there. Going to be hitting Alariel, hitting the Swordmasters. The Banshee is going to be crumbling down. Bounce of Power is in the favor of the Vampire Counts, but it's still a very, very close game. Sisters here probably going to get pushed off, I would imagine, and the Fellbat should be able to chase them off the battlefield. But there still is just a metric ton of these freaking Swordmasters here, which are no joke. And you can see the Bounce of Power on that note actually pulls back towards the middle a little bit, as if the Vampire Counts lose all their ground troops. If they lose the Chill Guys, if they lose the Graveguard, these other troops here, he's going to have to engage. He's going to have to engage with the single entities, and yeah, that's going to be something that will be very, very punishing for him to have to sit here. But summons do count as attacking units in the rules we're using, so you can see here there are some Graveguard left, there are some Crypt Ghouls, but once the Crypt Ghouls go, he's going to have to stay in combat. So once Ghouls, okay, so Vampires have to stay in combat. So they can like try and chase Alariel, but they have to stay in combat. So if he doesn't stay in combat here or like pull back in, all he has left are single entities. Have to engage. No more ground troops or cycle charging. Cool. So basically he has to stay in combat now, and you can see this one Terrorgeist is just kind of getting cut down. Alariel even getting in there with a nice little punch, and it looks like the High Elves are kind of pulling this game back. Alariel, man, the durability of the Swordmasters with the boon of Aisha, really able to kind of cut those guys to pieces. Now, he can move around with his Terrorgeist in the ground and like go after Sisters and things like that, but he can't just like pull back up in the sky and cycle charge in conjunction with our rules. So this one Goose is actually crumbling right here. This Strigoi Vampire Lord is going to have to stay in combat. He can't, the other single entity, if I'm not mistaken, does not count as a unit. Basically, what's it called? My brain's totally just freezing right now, but it doesn't count as an attacking unit. I guess he can chase Alariel with this one, but he has to stay engaged in combat. So yeah, he basically, this is almost like a rule break here. He probably has to pull back with this guy and engage. So I'll let him know here in a second. I mean, we'll see. If it affects the outcome of the game, we'll give it a rule break, but it looks like that thing's going to die anyways to these guys. But yeah, he can't be cycle charging left with just single entities. So we'll let him know that if the Vampires do end up winning this game, he's going to get, the game is going to basically be ruled a no contest there because he cycle charged like this here at the end. So that is indeed a rule break. So Tank is going to be pulling out this game here. Hopefully he read my messages here. You can see this one Goose going to be going down here. The Swordmasters should be able to make work of the Strigoi Vampire Lord in combat. And this guy's crumbling right here. He's at -18. So I'll let him know after the game. Yeah, it's a rule break for sure. So the game's going to go to Tank regardless of the outcome here. You can't cycle charge like that. If all you have left are single entities, you have to stay in combat. I don't think it's going to matter, though. I think the Howls are still going to win this. The Swordmasters are just too healthy, and Alariel's still alive as well. So basically, you just let this guy crumble, and you know, the Strigoi Vampire Lord's going to just do its thing. Alariel should not engage in combat at all. Yeah, this one has Terrorgeist here doing its thing. I know, Arrow. I know. Yeah, you know, he broke the rules. He'll get the game loss, and then we'll go on to the next game. And if he breaks the rules again, he gets another game loss, and that's how we'll do it. But the big thing that is, at least in my tournaments, is kind of an issue with like being like permanently banned is like having bad behavior towards your opponents and things like that. But this seems like a pretty egregious rule break, but we'll give him another chance here in his next game. Yeah, I hear you guys. I hear you guys. So this goose is going down here. It's going to be crumbling. This other one pulling back. And again, it's not allowed to pull back. So Arkin has broken rules, and I won't say it now. I'll just let the game play out. And yeah, that one goose is down, and the other Strigoi Vampire Lord is done, and Arkin's going to withdraw anyway. So because cycle charging with single entities, so I know a couple people in chat asking about that. It can be really abusive if you just cycle charge. It's really just like not a good mechanic. So I'll let him know right now. So Arkin, you broke the rules with your cycle charging. Please don't do that again. Cool. So let's go ahead and go to the next map, which is going to be Sword of Tor Gold. And good luck, have fun. And here we go. So we're on to the next game now. And despite the cycle charging, the High Elves were able to pull that game out. A very interesting build from Tank. Swordmasters of Hoeth. Now, normally people go in very hard using like halberds and anti-large against vampires, but he basically just crumped the ground forces and just endured, which was really cool. It was good. Yeah, if there are summoned units on the ground, you can basically, keep fighting, or you can cycle charge. Summoned units like zombies basically buy you time to do that because at least you're engaging on the ground and attacking. But if all you have left are single entities and they're just cycle charging like that, basically that's a rule break. Yes. And if you guys have any questions, Aerocrastic in chat, the fine man himself can answer any questions pertaining to the rules and things like that. And yeah, a gentle man. So Tank is going to pick Vampire Counts. Or Coast, maybe, banning High Elves and Lizards. So I don't know if he's picking Counts or Coast because they basically have the same kind of a deal there. And cool. Let's go ahead and check this real quick. We're all set. We're all set. Tank is going to go up 1-0 here. So we've gave Arkin his warning. Even if Arkin had won that game, though, he would have gotten a game lost for doing that. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I understand sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's easy to kind of like forget those type of things. But I mean, if you played in that many tournaments, you got to know at that point. So it's going to be Vampire Counts facing off against, he banned Lizards. So Arkin cannot pick Lizards. He's going to be going Dark Elves, it looks like. Probably going to be seeing some Malekith action, perhaps. Should be fun. Wouldn't it be funny if we just saw like the same type of build? Like Harganeth Executioners with Malekith and, some elite cav units. Just like an exact mirror of the build. It'd be interesting to see how Tank would deal with that. Granted, Dark Elves are a little bit different in that respect because they don't have the healing with like Alariel and things like that. But what was really clutch that last game was the Boon of Aisha. The Boon of Aisha giving magic damage. Those Hex Wraiths and the Banshee just got karate chopped by those guys. It was awesome. Hey, it's going really well, Dreamscape. Thanks for asking. King Adjazal asks, Era, would you rather fight 50 duck-sized Terrorgeist or one Terrorgeist-sized duck? Yes. So yeah, just an explanation. Basically, if all you have left are single entities, which are like monsters, dragons, things like that, and you have no other troops left. You have no infantry, you have no zombies, you have nothing else. You basically have to stay in combat. You can't cycle charge, you can't pull out, you have to sit where you are and you have to fight. Now, if you're in a melee combat and there's like a lord a couple of steps away, you can like waddle over, but you can't disengage from the troops that you're like basically actively fighting. There's a little bit of discretion on that, of course, but it's very, very abusable and can be really miserable to watch and play against. And of course, the game isn't like, it's a little bit of a hard issue to address. There are some things like, obviously, if you have no units on the ground and all you have are flyers, they take a constant leadership penalty, but yeah, it's like in Warhammer 40k, for example. If you lose all of your infantry and all you have left are flying units on the battlefield, you actually just lose the game. The boots on the ground rules, it's called. So it's pretty common, I guess, in those type of situations. But yeah. Give me that Terrorgeist-sized duck. Yeah, that would suck to fight a bunch of like Terrorgeists the size of ducks. I mean, they'd still have like the gnarly teeth and the breath attacks and like things like that. Ego, all the bats and harpies were gone. Those are not single entities. No, those would count as attacking units. So if you had like some fell bats attacking, like whatever, you could then cycle charge with the other flyers. And we actually have rules that the tournament are being played under, and you can see all the things that count as single entities and stuff like that, or monsters or whatever. Yeah. Giant gooses would be more scary. Geese are pretty mean creatures, for sure. They're really, really mean creatures. Nasty, nasty. This is game 2 here, guys. It's going to be Vampire Counts, making a bit of a resurgence in the meta. It had been quite some time since we had seen them. And whoever wins this will be going on to face off against A-Move Hacker, coming off the heels of a nice 2-0 victory against Alrek Ral. It was a very, very good series. So we'll see who's going to go there. If Arkin wins, he will be going to game 3. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, man. Yeah, we basically do have a boots on the ground rule. Yeah. In a way, but yeah, in like 40k, like I've had games where I've been playing against an Eldar player, for example. An Eldar player has like all flyers. It's like really obnoxious, right? And, you know, I've taken out all the stuff on the ground and they still have like 4 flyers left and they just lose the game, you know, despite the fact that they have a lot of power left. And it's kind of like, because flying units can, in pretty much most games, can be abused, right? Like you can draw kite with them, you can cycle charge really obnoxiously, and your opponents often can't fight back. There's a lot of like kind of annoying mechanics with those type of units. So A-Move is in the finals. Yes, he had a really, really good run today. Yes, he's done well. Swans are terrors too. I've never encountered a swan, Flying Dutchman, but I'll take your word for it. And thank you guys so much for joining. It's been a fun stream so far. 942 people. If you guys are enjoying the content, do remember to leave a like. It does help me out from a business end. Helps more people discover Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer. And also, guys, a lot of new stuff going to be coming in 2020. I almost forgot what year it is, but I'm going to be trying to focus on some Warhammer tabletop content. So going to be trying to do some 40k battle reports and maybe some like, I'm thinking about starting a series about painting miniatures, which is called Painting for Peasants. So basically it's going to be like very basic painting techniques that even newbies or like bad painters can like make their stuff look okay. So not like advanced techniques, but like just really simplified ways to make things like battle ready and look decent. So because I'm pretty good at that, like when painting, I'm good at making things look okay quick. I'm not good at like doing high level highlights and, you know, things like that, but like just battle ready, I feel like I have a good grasp on that. So I don't know. A couple ideas for 2020, guys. Well, I've seen swans from a distance, but I've never had like a close quarters encounter with some of those bad boys, you know? Good luck, have fun being dropped. Good luck, good luck. We'll see how this game goes. So for the forces of tank, he does have a couple Cairn wraiths on the outside of the formation. These guys are pretty cool. Of course, being ghostly, they're going to be pretty durable against most infantry units, especially against like halberd play. Like if they come in with like Black Guard and troops like this, the Cairn wraiths are actually pretty good against them with the AP and the fact that they do resist a lot of that damage. Zombies in the front line, more Cairn wraiths, some Graveguard with great weapons. Oh, he's kind of going for a bit of a foot build here. Not really. I guess he has a Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, but he's got a Necromancer. He's got a Corpse Cart with Unholy Lodestone. He does have some Blood Knights or Black Knights on the far side. It looks like it's going to be Black Knights and Black Knights with the dreaded Black Coach. And up in the sky, he does have the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Really, really powerful here. The Helm of Discord, of course, is a game-changing item. So being able to drop that in a blob fight is very, very strong. Now for the Force of Arkin here, he does have a couple spears. Very much a defensive formation himself. He does have the Black Guard. He's got a couple... the Blades of the Blood Queen as well. Corsair Handbows, the dreaded Chill of Santar, and he does also have a Canate Assassin. And Marathia on foot is a really good choice here. She's anti-large, she's armor-piercing on foot, she's a little bit tougher to snipe. And she does also give some really good debuffs with the Heartrender and the Dark Sword, as well as the Enchanting Beauty, which I would guess that, like, you know, the vampires wouldn't care about Enchanting Beauty, but I guess it does, you know, the magic supersedes the fact that they're mindless automations, basically. So Vampire's going to be coming in for a big sweeping surround here. You can see the spooky dogs going to be getting in the back. Vampire Count Cav certainly going to have their work cut out for them with some cycle charging. As this is a pretty cool build here. Very, very durable, hard to crack build here for the Vampire, or for the Dark Elves, excuse me. He's asking if he's ready. He's saying yes. Looks like the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord going to be taking some unnecessary shots in the face, but going to be dropping a summon here on the Black Art Corsairs with Handbows. I can't help but think that summon was a little bit premature. I would think that you would want to wait until maybe you get a little bit more kind of ingrained in combat before you do that, because these zombies are going to get crumped very, very quickly here. Granted, they are tar pitting a couple units and making the position a little bit awkward. Now, as far as HP damage goes, they haven't really done a whole lot. Black Art Corsairs do have 80 armor themselves and, you know, are not slouches in combat. It looks like here in the front, the Canate Assassin going to be coming out, and if it overextends too much, the Fellbats could actually trap it up, but it looks like the Fellbats are not going to be going too hard there, and should be just kind of waiting to feast on the scraps. Coming in the back here with the Chill Guys, these guys could come in and get some good terror routes. The Blackguard are immune to psychology, as are the Blades of the Blood Queen, so there's not going to be any terror routes from those guys. He's really going to have to rely on his Graveguard and his Cairn Wraiths. And as far as magic damage goes, Marathi does have a Soul Stealer, so The Dark Elves here are really going to need to make sure to use their Soul Stealers to kind of focus on those ghostly units, because aside from that, he doesn't really have too much magic damage. Blood Dragon Vampire Lord taking some fire here from the Black Art Corsairs on the ground, a little bit scary. And Mustafa, I will answer your question after the game. Don't worry, my friend. Thank you so much for the donation. And here you can see zombies and Karen Race coming in, some Black Knights in the distance. I feel like it's going to be tough to crack this build, but here comes the first charge here as these Karen Race come in. It looks like Melkos. Oh, he does have a Melkos as well, so that's really, really good against the Karen Race. At this point, the Karen Race might want to disengage with Marathi here, but they're getting some okay damage against Black Guard. And obviously, if Marathi wasn't here, these guys would be able to put some decent hurt here on the Black Guard. Granted, Black Guard are still really tough to kill. They have like 50 melee defense. In the back, the dreaded Black Coach has come in, getting a decent charge on the Black Guard, and some Fellbats have jumped onto these spears as well. And the front line of the vampires should be engaging in a moment as the Graveguard of the Grey opens will be reaching into the Dread Spears. And it looks like maybe a Helm of Discord was dropped. So Helm of Discord sending out those annoying notifications here to the front line has neutered the stats. Oh man, and a big overcast. Very, very punishing right there. So he overcasted on the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. He took a lot of damage. That's really unfortunate. But he has some Skeleton Warriors in the low ground, which could potentially do some work. And it looks like the Chill guys may be looking for an opportunity to jump on the Black Art Corsairs with handbows, which would be quite strong. That'd be really, really good. But the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord taking some serious damage from the focus fire of the Canid Assassin, plus also from the Corsair Handbows. But it looks like the Corsair Handbows should be breaking here. And the Black Coach is still in good shape as well. Black Knights cycle charging into the back line should be doing some okay work against the Unbraced Dread Spears with their bonus force infantry. A really good usage here from Arkin using his Melkos Mystifying Miasma on the Chill Geists and some of these other units. Nonetheless, Black Art Corsairs with handbows taking a lot of HP damage, kind of being funneled and trapped in here by these Skeleton Warriors. The Chill of Sontar is still in pretty good shape. And that's one issue here for this Vampire army is they don't have a ton of anti-large. I'm not terribly sure how they're going to deal with the Chill of Sontar. Oh, and it looks like a huge Wand of Koraidon coming in, but it looks like the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord is able to get a huge goon here on the Canid Assassin. So the Canid Assassin getting worked on pretty hard. Or the Death Hag, actually? Oh, that's a Death Hag. Goodness gracious, I did not notice that, but the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord really getting popped in the face. Soul Stealer coming down as well. He's going to have to start juking, get some big heals, or else he's going to be in a very disastrous situation. Now in the front line, Dread Spear is holding relatively well, actually. Chill guys in the back trying their best, but being funneled out by some of the spears, so the tank needs to get those guys back and make sure to get a little bit of a better engagement there. As the Death Hag here is able to survive, and the elite troops are now surging in. Blades of the Blood Queen should be able to make pretty quick work, even against Karen Race. I mean, it won't be quick, but they'll eventually win that fight. And Invocation of the Heck has gone down, but it didn't go off on the Vampire Lord? Where did he go? Is that Vampire Lord dead? Did he just die somewhere off in obscurity? Maybe Marathi was able to get some decent attacks, but the Black Coach in the back still doing a decent job. Black Knights coming in as well. Going to be rear charging into these troops right here, but nonetheless, I think that the Dark Elves are in a very, very good position. The Canid Assassin plus Marathi able to really just work on that Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Yeah, the Canid Assassin, man, what an MVP. Turin versus Swan 2020. I think I could kick a Swan's butt, for sure. Like, if it really came down to it. I feel like we're on the Joe Rogan podcast now, just where they talk about, like, if animals can beat each other, if they could take animals in combat. Anyways, Chill of Sontar still in pretty good shape. Coming in here, going to be going after the Spears of the Dread. Black Knights swooping around the formation. Going to be coming into these Dread Spears. But really, it looks like the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord did get popped and crumbled. So I don't think there's going to be any chance for him here. Black Knights coming in here. Going to be going into the Black Art Corsairs with hand bows. Those guys should be shut down. But yeah, I mean, just the Karen Race did an okay job, but the Melkos was a really nice pick for sure. If he had just had Soul Stealer, for example, I don't think he would have had enough magic damage to deal with him. But the fact that he did mix in the Melkos Mystifying Miasma was really, really strong. One sec, guys. My fan, I just got to minimize real quick, and it's going to just lag for 1 second. Just had to adjust my computer fans real quick. But the Graveguard fighting, for sure, but it's not going to be enough. He didn't have the tools to deal with it. And that is going to be game 2, going to Arkin. So now we have a rubber match. We have game 3. So let's go ahead and update that. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is for all the marbles here, guys. Let's go ahead and do it to it. And for the next map, we're going to be on the Essence of Chaos, which is a super close quarters map. So I figured let it be settled in the blood of chaos as they fight on a very, very close quarters map. Tank says GG. Stupid Overcast, and Ark in the Black says GG as well. Yeah, that Overcast was brutal. I mean, Tank's Lord basically just got killed by that Overcast. I mean, if he had just dropped some zombies, he might have been fine. That's actually probably what one of the main issues was for him, right? So, King Adisol again with another $2. Turin versus Swan. We'll make it happen. Daggerick, thank you for the 100 CZK. Turin versus Swan when. Perhaps it can be arranged. We'll see what we can do. Radio Plastic donated $2 saying, congrats on 1K viewers. been with you since 7K subs. Thank you for making this journey, man. Man, that's a long time. You must have been here a long time, man. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. And Mustafa Dermaz donated $2 as well. Any tips on dealing with Empire artillery for High Elves? Honestly, I feel like just using... like, High Elves have some pretty good swarming elements, like swarming with Reavers, your Archers, just having a wide formation of, like, Spearmen with Archers and, like, cheap Cav Reavers and Silver Helms usually is pretty effective, because you can just advance and don't give them too many high-value assets for your dudes to fire. Maybe a couple Flamespire Phoenixes, which can just, like, heal themselves. There's a couple ways to go about that for sure, so... Alrighty. So, we have Arkan picking Vampire Coast and banning Dwarves. Tank bans Skaven. And we don't know what Tank's ban is yet. It's a really close quarters map, so I would imagine Arkan probably won't go for like a gun line. He'll probably just go for like a Crab Rush or something, or maybe like use a Luther with some gooning. We'll see. For sure. Reginald Pugington said that matchup is borderline impossible. I see. Can race Sword of work versus the new Chariots? Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's one of the main things against Scourge Runners. They can chase them down. So basically, at this point, guys, we're just waiting for for Tank's pick. We'll see what he goes with. Against Vampirates, I mean, the world is your oyster. There's a lot of good matchups against Vampirates, I think. I think like a good Beastman rush with like Piggies can do really well. I think that you can use High Elves can do well. I mean, any Archer faction, Empire with Mass Huntsman. If Tank knows how to play Empire, he can just use Mass Huntsman and really just wreck a lot of the Vampire Coast traditional build. So, I mean, there's a multitude of ways to play it, especially since it's a close quarters map. They're going to have to go fisticuffs. Hey, sounds good, Gregory. I will. Thank you, man. God damn, it is cold. Let me put on my jacket. Hold on. Be right back, guys. I'm going to use the restroom real quick. All right, guys, and it looks like Tank is going to be taking Norska in this rubber match. This is game 3, guys. This is for the marbles. We're going to see who's going to be going on to the grand finals. Should be good. Should be good. Yeah, Zablaski, I agree. I think Jim Kings have a pretty good matchup here against the spooky Vampirates. A lot of good tools there. It's actually pretty cold here, guys. It's like, I don't know, what is it? Let me get the temperature here right now. Current temperature in... So I guess it's 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius. So yeah, I mean it's nippy by our standards. I'm not used to such weather. I'm basically in a t-shirt right now, so you know. It is a little bit colder than usual. Yeah, we just ordered an electric heater from Amazon today, so it'll be arriving tomorrow, so we should be okay. Norska here isn't bad, for sure. He needs to watch out for like deck dropper sniping, but just going like, I mean, Marauder Infantry trade pretty well across the board. I wonder how he's going to deal with like crabs and things like that. I mean, you have Famirs, you have Javelins. There's a multitude of ways to deal with this. Pretty good backline pressure with the Hounds as well, but we'll have to make sure. This is a map that people can often line camp and just like hug the edge of the map, so we have to make sure that doesn't happen as well. The Spark, thank you for the 40 DKK. This is only for the dog, nothing for you, Turn. Hey, sounds good, man. Wookie needs it. Wookie's been doing pretty good, but our other dog, our Chihuahua Terrier mix, Gooby, or Lola as she's actually named, she's at the vet today. She's getting her teeth pulled. She had a couple teeth because she has a really bad underbite, our other dog, so like just a big old underbite right there. And basically, it screwed up the alignment of her teeth, so some of her top teeth are all like kind of weird and out of sync because of that. So Lola is getting a bunch of her teeth pulled today, which is a little bit unfortunate, but alas, it must be done. She'll be okay. 10 Celsius there. 0 degrees Celsius up here in Toronto. Yeah, well, that's no joke. And I was just in Poland, and it was pretty cold out there as well. Willow, there's going to be 8 tournaments in total. So there's going to be an Eternal Challenger League qualifier every week. And you guys are all welcome to join. Anyone can join. Today we had like 35 competitors today, give or take. And this is, we obviously just start the stream when the top 4 happens, but yeah. -6 in Czech Republic, yeah. I know. Well, Lola has a really bad underbite. It's like a genetic issue. So like her teeth just like don't sit right in her mouth. It's a weird thing, and so she's going to be a pirate. She gets to keep her lower teeth, but most of her upper teeth are kind of screwed up, just because of the way her mouth is. Yeah, Anna and I take care of all the haggard, unwanted dogs. My hair is so freaking long right now, guys. I have like straight up Jesus hair. Oh my god, it's like keeps going down over my eye while I'm trying to cast. I'm like, god damn it. Norska is an interesting counter pick, though. I mean, it might just be that tank isn't super comfortable with some of the more traditional counters like Empire and Tomb Kings, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, Vampire Coast is really competitive. They can hang with anyone, even in the harder matchups. Yeah, and if there's any mods in chat, if you guys could post a link to the tournament Discord. If not, I'll take care of it after this next game. If there's no mods in chat who can do that. We got 1,000 people. Thank you guys so much for joining. Glad to see there's still some support and interest in the multiplayer community here. And yeah, we're going. Yeah, you just have to join the Discord and just stand by, because I just posted in there. I do an everyone tag in the Discord, and whoever can join, joins. That's it. It's really fun. A lot of people today played their first tournaments, which was cool. Yeah. We do have some disgusting dogs. Oh, Wookiee's so foul. He just always smells. I don't know why. Do I turn water into wine? I wish. Although granted, I'm not a huge wine fan. Yeah, and I figured this is too small of a map to go for a traditional kind of a, gun line for Vampire Coast with like cannons. So I think this is the right way to play it from Arkin. Yeah, anyways. So let's take a look at the forces here for the Vampirates. He does have Luther. Again, Luther's an absolute monster. Really, really good at sniping. Oh, we have a Throg pick. Oh, hell yeah. I love seeing Throg in action. And if somebody can go fisticuffs with Luther, it's going to be Throg. We have Luther. We have a Vampire Caster. Pretty standard stuff. We have some deckhand mobs. We do also have some animated Hulks coming in here from Arkin. And it looks like we do have a Necrofex Colossus. So that's going to force the Norscan forward. And up in the sky, I knew there was going to be some deck dropper gooning. But deck droppers can potentially be fended off by Javelin play. So he does have 4 of those in total. And for Tank's army, pretty standard front line. Berserkers and Marauders going to make pretty quick work of the Vampire Infantry. But dealing with monsters is the big issue. But it seems like Tank is pretty well equipped, guys. He has 5 Javelins back here. Beast of Tashnar, a couple of Skin Wolves, the premier condoms of the old world. And he does also have a Balefiend with Fireball and, or not Fireball, is that Burning Head? Burning Head. And Throg Daddy, France at large. Honestly, this Norscan army is really good. I think it probably has the advantage in this situation unless he makes some really bad mistakes. Or, if Luther or the Gooning of the Vampire Coast is able to take out like Throg or the Caster or something like that. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, there's plenty of room back here, so he's okay. So, obviously he can do his thing, but we'll see how this goes. Do it to it. Yeah, it's going to have to be Lord Snipe, but like it's not going to be easy because the Javelins, I think, have, what do they have, 90 range, and the Deck Droppers have 80 range. So yeah, they can come in, but the Javelins with good micro should be able to kind of fend off those Deck Droppers and force them to shoot at like less efficient targets and things like that. I mean, you basically got to go, yeah. There's a couple ways to play this matchup. I've always thought that this matchup is somewhat Norscan favored, but I don't know. I guess in the beginning when Vampire Coast first came out, it wasn't. They were just like trash canning everyone, but times have changed. Times have changed. He's asking if his opponent's ready before they start here. So a 4-minute win for Norska. I don't know. It looks, the Javelins were a really, really good choice. Because they're going to be able to punish the Crabs. They're going to be able to punish the Necrofex Colossus, all these different troops. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. The Crabs and Hulks should all get punished as well. Some Skin Wolves are going to be coming forward. He wants to make sure not to send the Skin Wolves into the kind of the firing range here of the Deck Droppers and company. Granted, he might be using the Skin Wolves just to kind of waste some ammunition. Colossus shooting in as well, able to get some decent focus fire, but here comes the Javelins. Going to be opening up, throwing some nice salvos into those guys. Could be going after Luther as well. But yeah, it's only going to be a matter of time here. Harkin is on the goose. That's pretty standard stuff. And here comes the Marauders with Javelins. Cannon fire coming in from the Colossus as well. But some of the Javelins actually taking a lot of damage. Luther could drop some summons here, but thankfully for tank, he does have 5 javelins, so he has a lot of them, but they are taking a lot of work, actually. Luther does have some pretty powerful pistol shots, but you can see the deck droppers taking some damage right back. Down to half health, so relatively decent trading so far in that respect. The rest of the Norscan army going to be coming in. Looks like a burning head is going to be going down as well. Oh, that's some nice damage right there. That's some good damage going right through the zombies. Not that he needs like extra stopping power against those zombies, but this is that was a pretty good one right there. That did a lot of work. So the javelins and skin wolves are basically just being used to fend off the deck droppers. What do you mean? Oh, did she? Good.
Yeah, she's alive.
Good. Lola survived her tooth extraction. That's good. So a couple of groups of javelins have been pushed off. Some of the deck droppers as well have taken some substantial damage. Now the Norscan front lines have engaged, and it's basically only a matter of time here before the front line starts to kind of crumble down. Berserkers, honestly, will actually do well against Hulks as well. So there's a couple options there. Now, Luther Harkin going to be maybe chasing off these javelins. A little bit harder to say. There are 3 groups here. Some of the deck droppers have been punished, but Tank needs to make sure that he leaves some stuff back here to protect the javelins. If he lets the javelins just kind of get hunted and chased off the battlefield, he could potentially just lose the game based on that. Now, some of the javelins have rallied here. Deck droppers as well, continuing to take some javelin fire. And the front line for the vampires is starting to take some work. Oh man, the vampire fleet captain might potentially get gooned out by Throg. You can see this bad boy is taking a lot of damage from the berserkers and these other troops here, as the Norskins actually send some skin wolves into the front line as well. How are the javelins doing back here? It looks like some of the javelins are being hunted down and pushed off by the deck droppers, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but he still does have 3 groups, but it seems like Luther just flying and shooting his pistol above is doing a really, really good job. But anyways here, that's pretty catastrophic though, losing that vampire fleet captain right there. This guy, if he goes down, I mean, and not having invo for the rest of this game would be pretty bad. So we're going to see if he's able to get away here. Now, it looks like Luther is going to be landing to fight Throg. Throg does have some skin wolves nearby and could potentially turn and fight Luther. But yeah, these Beasts of Tashnar need to kind of come around this gap right here and jump on top of the Necrofex Colossus or on top of the Vampire Fleet Captain. He has a couple options to really, really collapse there. Javelins are focus firing now, which is really, really bad for the Vampire Counts or Vampire Coast. And Throg, oh my god, Throg beating the brakes off this vampire. Luther Harkin taking a working from the Troll King despite the Hornswoggle. Now, it looks like the Javelins are going to be turning about face to go after Luther, and that's going to be a really quick game. If Luther Harkin gets punished here, oh my goodness, he really took a beating. And I would imagine there's an invocation coming back. He takes a couple Javelins there, but the Norscan front line, it's only a matter of time before they get in there. Now, there are some deck droppers in the back. If Tank simply pulls the Beast of Tashnar and just kills these deck droppers, that'll probably be game over. But if he lets his Javelins get killed, that opens up an avenue for the Vampire Coast to get back in this game 100%. So he needs to react to this. He can't just let those guys in the back line get crumped. And it looks like he's pulling back some guys. Maybe he's trying to get these Skin Wolves back to kind of peel back here, but he cannot just let these Javelins go down. He needs those guys. They're super crucial. There's still a fair amount of large units left here, but Luther Harkin's back up in the sky, just getting karate chopped, but Throg, the Troll King, ruling with an iron fist. And now you can see the Skin Wolves have gotten back here. He pulled back the Beast of Tashnar just like we were talking about. And the Beast of Tashnar are probably going to come and surround the deck droppers. I mean, that's a free kill right there. But it looks like he decides to go back in. He needs to get these guys and protect his Javelins. Let those guys keep going. Balance of power for the first time of the game pretty heavily in the Norska's favor as they just kind of zerg in and beat down these animated Hulks and these Walmart units here. Throg the Troll King has been a pretty solid MVP this battle. Just beating down Luther, beating down the Vampire Caster. Just wherever his club goes, damage follows. Oh, look at this MLG tactic. Beast of Tashnar coming around here, and these guys probably going to be coming around, swarming on the back here of the Colossus and kind of shutting down that firepower. But yeah, he needed to be a little bit more proactive in protecting his Javelins. That does give the Vampire Coast a small way back into this game, but nonetheless, still advantage here for Norska, to say the least. But that was a bit of a mistake letting that happen. Balefiend coming in here, getting some decent attacks here against Luther, kind of forcing him back a little bit, but Lamprey's Revenge getting crumbled. The Necrofex Colossus is not going to be able to get away from the Condom Wolves. And I think this is going to be a game for Norska. There are some deck droppers up in the sky, but once their ammunition runs out, I mean, he does have units fighting at the ground. He's got halberds, he's got his Vampire Fleet Captain. A potential gooning attempt could get him back in the game if Luther were, for example, able to goon out the Balefiend and some of these other troops. That would actually be a really nice avenue back into the game. Nice summon right there. It's going to kind of obstruct the advance of some of the Norscan troops, but yeah, the fact that he let his Javelins go was one of the main reasons why this game is still going. I think had the dogs just dashed back there and peeled off the deck droppers, I think this game would be close to being over by now, but nonetheless, I still think Throg is going to be able to kind of endure here. Granted, with Luther gooning, you can never count him out. He's an absolute monster. And the Skin Wolves are also regenerating. And yeah, the summons for Vampire Coast are running a little bit dry. One group of summons down here is gone. Beast of Tashnar in the back could go after Luther potentially. We will see. The Lamprey's Revenge going down here. Some summons. I believe these are the droppings. No, they're not the droppings here from them. Those are actually a summon unit. That'll be disappearing in about 10 or 15 seconds. And also Throg is healing too. So like, despite the fact that like the Empire Coast is getting some fight back here, Throg and company are healing. Skinwolves are healing, Throg's healing, and Throg is pretty much a hard counter against like this Colossus. And also was able to defeat Luther Harkin in hand-to-hand combat pretty effectively. So very, very solid stuff. Yeah, the Norscan front line's really hard to deal with for sure. Animated Hulk's a bit of an interesting pick. I'm surprised we didn't see more crabs. The crabs are slightly more durable against javelins as well as werewolves and berserkers and infantry, whereas the Hulks kind of actually take a lot of damage from the traditional infantry here. So the Necrofex Colossus is going down here. And you can see that this guy is going down as well. The Vampire Fleet Captain in really, really bad shape. And Luther Harkin basically just sitting up with his pistol trying to get some sniping, which is a good choice. Just kind of sit there, get value while you can. Colossus does drop its load right here, so the Vampire Deckhand mobs, or the Zombie Park Deckhand mobs, are going to be dropped from the Colossus. And you can see that the Beasts of Tashnar were waiting in the wings, are going to be swooping in and attacking the Colossus, kind of preventing it from running. And it's also crumbling now, so it's taking a lot of free damage right here as the Norskins going to be celebrating and having toasts to corn, perhaps. But it looks like Tank is going to win this game. I think his Norscan forces are going to be pulling out the victory here, as there is a little bit of a flying air force here, but there's no way. And that's going to be army losses. And that's going to be a 2-1 victory for Tank, who is going to be going on to the grand finals to face off against A-Move Hacker, and a best of 5 coming up soon, boys. Let's do it. Boys and girls. I know there's a couple girls out there, I'm sure. My lovely wife watching, hopefully. Yes. And that's it. That is it. Yeah, that was a really good build by Tank. That was incredibly solid against what Arkin bought. It had answers for everything, and but really the MVP was Throg Daddy. Throg was an absolute powerhouse of unit, just getting in there and clubbing his rival Luther Harkin in the face and sending him back to the pits from whence he came. Yeah, for sure. The javelins needed to be a little bit more protected, but nonetheless, it was still a very, very good game there. So, so GG. Arkin the Black saying good luck to his opponent. Well played, Tank. Good sportsmanship round. And now we get to bring in A-Move Hacker. So let's go ahead and find him. A-Move, if you're watching, it is your time to shine. Your time to do battle with Tank here in the grand finals. So let's go ahead and see if I can find him. I think he's playing under an alias. So let me go ahead and just message him in Discord. At GG. At A-Move. You're up. So A-Move Hacker is going to be joining here. So let's go ahead and reorient the scoreboards and report the score in challenge. So that was a 2-1 victory. So Tank. Cool. Now we're in the grand finals. Tank versus A-Move here of the first of the qualifiers. Yeah, the Berserkers are so good against the, they can just like, they have good leadership. They last forever against those guys, and they do some serious work against the infantry. But that Burning Head was really nasty. It like took like 30-40% HP off those 4 zombies, which is pretty good value for sure. So we got A-Move here in the grand finals of today's qualifier. Got to update the scoreboard. So the finals are best of 5, guys. So this is going to be, strap your seatbelts in. It's going to be a ride. So for the maps, let's go ahead and get them. It's going to be Tower of Hoth for the first one. Let's go ahead and do that. And Tower of Hoth. Finals are single ban. So pick plus single ban. So in the final, since it's best of 5, it is a single ban instead of a double ban in this particular tournament. So A-Move plays Dawi a lot, and he actually had a really nice Dawi victory against Dark Elves earlier, which was very, very impressive. So far, so good. So far, so good indeed. We're making pretty good time. It's not even 1 o'clock yet. We are in the grand finals, which is nice. So hopefully some folks in Europe can actually endure and not have to go to bed as the tournament does go on. Check here. Just checking something real quick, guys, in my settings. Don't mind me. Oh, stop it. Stop it. No. All right. We're all good. Wait, a guy named A-Move plays Dawi who don't move? Well, he had gyrocopters. Those were some mobile dwarves. There are some mobile dwarves. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Some grudges were satisfied. And start picks and bans. Good luck, have fun. So first map is going to be Tower of Hoeth. And I'm going to go get my jacket real quick. All right, guys, I'm back. Got my jacket ready to finish strong here in the finals. 10 p.m. so far, so good from Europe. Good to hear that, Stannis. Hey, Vicious Satsuma, well played today. Good games, man. Yeah, so now they're doing their picks and bans. We'll see what they end up going with. This is the grand finals again, best of 5 here. So it looks like Tank is going to take vampire counts and ban lizards. And then, oh, we got dwarves versus vampires here on Tower of Hoeth, a pretty long open map. So perhaps we could see some cannon play or some artillery play on a map like this, but you never know. Hard to say. Hard to say. Yeah, Dawi are one of those factions that are like really good in some matchups and really terrible in other ones. They're like very extremes, you know? They're not like super level across the board like a faction like Lizards, but they have a couple good matchups and a couple really horrible ones. So, yeah. I mean, granted, yes, they can win any matchup. There are builds to be brought, but generally they have some very, very hard ones in my humble opinion. Yes, let's get that Discord link. Let me do it to it. All right, so invite. Boom. All right, one sec, guys. So if you guys are interested in multiplayer, here's a Discord for you guys to link. You guys can get in there. That's where if you want to play in these tournaments, you can basically find them. So there's the link right there. And for anyone who misses them, you guys can, of course, just scroll up and find those bad boys. And yeah, we're all good to go. We're doing it to it. So it looks like A-Move Hacker is ready, yelling Philip. It's a bit of an inside joke in their community there. And Tank is ready as well. So let's see how this goes. It begins. It begins, brothers. I'll actually be probably making a video this week on like how to get involved in multiplayer, like events and things like that. So it'll probably have links to a bunch of different Discords that you guys can actively find tournaments and different events. And of course, the one I linked you to is where I basically post my events. But of course, there's a ton of other great event hosts out there who do probably a much better job than I do of putting on more active tournaments. So yeah, you guys will do it. Here we go, guys. The Tower of Hoeth calls. Hopefully there's not going to be too much lag here in this game. Of course, players connecting from across the world can cause that. Wow, look how far you can. Whoa. Can you actually go all the way out here in the map? Well, I guess you can. It's kind of neat. Look at that big old tower. That's very Lord of the Rings-esque, isn't it? Very Tolkien-esque. And you can see here a little high elf. It'd be really neat to have like maps in Warhammer that had like bridges and like big landscapes like this and things like that. I guess they kind of have a couple like that, but nonetheless, this is a pretty cool map. And what's really funny about this map, the Tower of Hoeth, is you can actually hide units back here. So if you're like deploying, you can like put some guys back here. It's really funny. They're like super out of scale with the building. Like if you put some spearmen, they're like up to the middle of the doorway there, which is really funny. They have wronged us. The next one is probably going to be, I'll probably have it every weekend, if not every other weekend. So stay tuned for that, guys. And even outside of ECL, if I'm having other events or kind of one-off things, I'll also announce them in this Discord as well. So yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. And here we go. So it's showtime, guys. Here's the finals. It's going to be Tank facing off against a move Hacker. So let's go ahead and take a look at the forces of the Vampires. Front line's going to be Zombos. Feasters in the Dusk, probably going to be using those guys as like a deep Vanguard unit just to attack cannon pieces in the back line. A couple groups of Graveguard with great weapons. He does also have Black Knights, who do, of course, have that juicy bonus for his infantry and 36 weapons rank. Certainly not bad. Up in the sky, he does have a Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, and that's pretty much it. So mainly going to be relying on the Graveguard, the Helm of Discord, as well as the White King Goon Squad down here. White King's actually really good here. They have not the best AP, but they're durable, and their bonus versus infantry makes them quite strong against Dwarven boxes. Now for the forces of A-Move Hacker, he does have Longbeards. He's got Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. Looks like a couple groups of hammers. Oh, it's hammer time. So he's got hammers. He has the Peak Gate Guard and just elite troops backed up by a couple Iron Drakes with Trollheimer Torpedoes and a Dwarf Lord here. So this is a very, very heavy metal build. I love seeing Dwarf Hammers in play. No Slayers, just pure iron, pure armor. Let's see if this can hold up to the might of the Vampire Counts. All right, great. It's just time. Let the games begin. So here we go. Dwarven Iron Drakes, Trollhammer Torpedoes, no flamethrowers, but certainly going to be very apt at dealing with the monsters. So shooting at like Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. And what's also cool about Iron Drakes is these bad boys do have 125 armor as well. So things like zombies can barely scratch them. So they do get tar pitted, but nonetheless, they usually survive and can start shooting afterwards. Longbeards also have insane leadership. They have 48 melee defense and just are very, very stalwart infantry. Their leadership base is 80, but with modifiers, once the battle starts, it should be closer to 90. So very, very tough to take down. Very, very tough to take down. This is a serious box. It's not a joke. And the back Feasters in the Dusk, I mean, their Vanguard's kind of a moot point here, as they're going to end up just having to fight Longbeards or Hammers, both of which are like a hard counter to them. The White Kings plus the Graveguard are really going to have to put this game on their back, because aside from that, the Dwarven army is really going to crush most of those vampiric troops. Yeah, by my beard. This is why you never leave home without Winds of Death. Yeah, Winds of Death would be really strong here, actually. Granted that he's not like in a straight line anywhere, but dropping Winds of Death on like the Hammers or like a blob formation, which will inevitably come, would be very, very strong. So A-Move's going to be scooting forward a little bit. Looks like he's changing up his formation here. He thought about doing a box, but now he's moving forward. These dwarves are, the box mind game. He's like, hey man, I'm in a box. And then suddenly he switches out of the box. He's going to be taking the fight to the vampires, it looks like. Moving forward here. Of course, both players do have to be attackers, so here he comes. The Dwarf Lord does have an item. I forget what it does. I think it's like Van Braces of something, or let's actually take a look. Look at this proud Dwarf Lord surging out of his hole to settle some grudges. An absolute beast of a character. All right, so he does have the, Star Metal Plate. Very good item, actually. It does lower melee attack of enemy units by 9 nearby, so that's going to put the zombies down to a 0 melee attack, which basically gives them the minimum chance to make contact. So the Dwarves, having finally found a comfortable place here, going to be getting their Trollhammer Torpedoes ready. Probably going to shoot some White Kings initially. They could really pop these White Kings in the face. Granted, White Kings often get knocked over by such things and won't actually take the damage, but let's see if the Trollhammer Torpedoes are going to be shooting it. But it looks like the Longbeard's just going to be waiting in the front with the Dwarf Lord getting ready to fight. Vampires do have the Helm of Discord plus a Zombie Dragon, so the Zombie Dragon with Breath Attacks is going to be super good against like Peak Gate Guard and things like that. So, I mean, yeah, I guess good Dragon play could be really, really punishing here for sure. He's able to get like 2 or 3 really optimal Breath Attacks on the Hammerers. That could be something that could like win him the game, right? Trollhammer Torpedoes firing in, going after the Corpse Cart here, it looks like, and the Corpse Cart takes quite a bit of damage. Oh my god, the Dwarven Iron Drakes just doing a hammering on those guys. 2 more volleys, and if the other one's able to shoot, nice Scab Scraith right there, able to go down. It doesn't do a ton of damage. That is actually an activatable item from the White King there, so able to do some decent poke right there on top of the Peak Gate Guard, but nothing to write home about. Blasting Charges come in, a little bit wasted on Black Knights, but the Trollhammer Torpedoes coming in once again. And the Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone probably not going to make it to the battle. Granted, that is a 500 gold investment, so nice little pick there from the Dwarves. Oh, nice Breath Attack there from the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. The Dwarves weren't quite able to dodge that. Peak Gate Guard taking about 30-40% HP damage, so that was a really, really good play there by Tank. And then from there, Tank is going to be surging in and trying to get some freebies here on the Miners. However, Tank also going to be taking some very punishing shots here from the Iron Drakes. Oh man, Tank getting blasted as well. So far, both players trading back and forth, but I would say the Dwarves have gotten a little bit better of the trades. Corpse Guard is disintegrating, it's gone. The Blood Dragon Vampire Lord has taken some serious damage as well. He's going to have to use invocations and things like that, and here comes the main battle. So the Dwarves are going to be holding for the charge. Longbeard should countercharge. They don't actually have a charge defense against infantry, and it looks like, yeah, they do countercharge there at the last second. So the Dwarves are holding in the front line. The Star Metal Plate is going to be giving -9 melee attack to all these troops here, and Trollhammer Torpedoes are now shooting in towards the Black Knights, it looks like. But the Dwarf box is holding firm. Some hammers going to be surging into the front line as well, but there's nothing really to defend these guys here in the center, so aside from crossfire. But now, if A-Move Hacker is able to get that decent kind of 1-2 fire here on top of the Blood Dragon and Vampire Lord, that could be quite good. Some hammers are going to be surging in as well. Black Knight surging in from every angle, but I feel like the Dwarf box is going to hold pretty well. Helm of Discord doing a really good job actually nullifying the defensive prowess of the Longbeards here, putting them down to like 20-something melee defense, which is very, very good. Peak Gateguard charging in as well, and the Trollhammer Torpedoes shooting in against the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Very, very nasty stuff. Now, this is probably something A-Move wants to try and not do. He has the hammers kind of stacked on top of the Longbeards. Maybe just pull one of them back, because it seems like the hammers aren't necessarily in the most optimal engagements. Here in the back, you can see the Feasters in the Dusk have been crumped down by the Miners as well as some Longbeards, and the hammers are still trying to chase against the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, who has been buffed by Invocation of Nehek. So he's going to start getting some heals now. We'll see if that really suits him well. Hammer is pulling back, which is good, kind of saving their fatigue and their energy, just using them to defend here. And of course, the Longbeards will eventually lose the Graveguard with Grey Opens, you can see here, and that's probably when you want to send in the hammers, or at least switch them. So the hammers are fighting those guys, and you can see the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord continuing the cycle charge. Now in the front line, we do have the White Kings doing a pretty good job, actually, and you can see they're fighting against Longbeards. Longbeards, man, just such a durable unit. And the Dwarf Lord over here is just fighting in this fight, trying to help out against these Graveguard with Great Weapons. And the Trollhammer Torpedoes, for the most part, are in good shape. One of them has taken some heavy damage, the other one's at about half health, and one group still has 21 models here, which should be relatively strong. And now it's back online as well, so it can shoot against the vampires. And yeah, it's a very, very close fight. Hard to call this one. It seems like the vampires are starting to kind of get in there, but they haven't really encountered the fearsome resistance of the elite hammers, who are kind of lurking in the secondary, but we'll certainly see how that goes. The box will win. You guys are predicting the box will win, but well, perhaps so. So here, Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes being attacked by the dreaded Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, who's certainly putting a pretty serious hurt on those guys. And there's not really any Slayers or anything to really stop them. You can put the Iron Drakes in guard mode, but they're getting a couple shots off as the Dragon Lord actually retreats. You can see some of the crossfire coming in from these two groups. And if A-Move is able to kind of keep those guys online and just kind of keep nuking this Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, if he goes down, the battle's pretty much over. The Blood Dragon Vampire Lord is going to be a super essential tool in dealing with the mass amounts of hammers, using cycle charging, and of course his summons and his really, really good AP values. Oh, he takes a huge shot to the face. Looks like they were in guard mode. Man, he took like 800 damage right there. He's down to 1100, down to 1000. The Trollhammer Torpedoes just blasting this Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Another volley like that, and he will not be able to hold. So Blood Dragon Vampire Lord pulling up in the sky. A-Move does have a couple of groups of the Trollhammer Torpedo still shooting, and his Miners and his Hammers were able to secure that center position. And man, this guy's in huge trouble. It looks like Tank is doing a very, very good job juking here. He's got the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. He's going back and forth. He's dodged those volleys there, which is pretty crucial. So now some of the Graveguard have broken through the Longbeards as well as the Miners, and we have the Hammerers surging in to meet them. Now, Dwarven Hammerers should make pretty good work against Graveguard. They should be able to outmatch them in terms of just overall troop quality. Plus, these guys are quite beat up and debilitated, and the Hammerers are very tired as well, though. I suppose it's pretty even across the board there. Now, there still are two White Kings, which are going to be a very persistent, annoying threat to deal with, but Dwarves are pulling ahead on the Bounce of Power, and if they have a couple of Hammerers left in the late game, they should be able to actually just beat down the White Kings pretty efficiently. So Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes still going strong. I would imagine they're just kind of be following the movements and kind of mirroring the patterns of this Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. So you can see they're turning about face right now. Oh, and Tank is trying to juke. You can see Tank going back and forth. Here comes a huge shallow from those guys, but it looks like Tank is able to dodge most of those. Yeah, he dodges those. Very, very well played there. I think one or two might make contact. Oh, he gets hit a little bit. Takes about 100 damage right there, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of keeping the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord out of the battle, which means that the other Dwarven troops, like the Hammerers and all these other guys, are able to actually, grind in, pull out the victory here. And yeah, the White Kings are not going to have a good time against Pete Gateguard. That's going to be a very, very tough situation. And you can see across the board, vampires are kind of crumbling down. And again, the counter to the Hammerers is the Longbeards, not the Longbeards, is the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. And the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord can't really come close to the battle because of how efficient the Trollhammer Torpedoes have just been blasting him in the face. The last of the Graveguard going down, Black Knight's going down as well. And it looks like something's being said here. He says, oh, good luck, have fun. So they're just saying good wishes to one another. Now, one White King is a little bit beat up. The other one's in good shape. But yeah, for the most part, there's too many Hammers. And at this point, he's so close to his healing cap, he might even have trouble defeating the standard Dwarf Lord here on the ground at this point. In 56 Hammers here, there's Longbeards. And Dwarves are not a faction that's going to get, terror routed and things like that. Nice little breath attack there. Able to pepper some damage off the Peak Gate Guard, but for the most part, those guys are in good shape. And I don't really see any way for the vampires to get back in this battle. So once again, the Ancestors We'll be singing praises to their living folk here, as the dwarves are able to probably pull out a solid victory here. The White King's going to be losing in combat against these elite dwarven infantry, and as soon as the Blooddragon Vampire Lord comes back in, he's going to be getting karate chopped himself. Now, there are some Black Knights here. They might be able to get in and do some damage, but Black Knights don't have like huge stopping power. They only have 36 weapon strength, and they're going to be disintegrating, as the foul vampire counts have been banished by the proud Dawi. So here you go, Dwarf Lord able to smash this White King, and that's going to be game one, going to A-Move Hacker here in the finals. Well played. Well played. That was a classic battle indeed. The Dawi did it. Jake Wu, quite excited. I know you're a huge dwarf fan. The Peak Gate Guard, absolute beasts. Surprised there weren't any Ironbreakers, but that was a really cool build by the dwarves for sure. I really enjoyed that one. Even against 4 Graveguard. I mean, the 4 Graveguard I think were a really good choice for sure, but he just didn't have it enough to really shut down the Trollhammer torpedoes. Those guys just paid some huge dues for sure. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Alrighty. We'll do a move, getting game one here with the dwarves. Alrighty. And there we go. So now we're in our next match, which is going to be, let's go ahead and check the map. It's going to be Schwarzhofen. Schwarzhofen. I think I said that close to correct. It's around here somewhere, towards the top. It's a really good map. It's a classic. Next game. Go, go. Let's see what these two fine gentlemen pick. This is a best of 5. So the 2 semifinals, which you guys saw earlier, were best of 3s, and this is a best of 5. 2 Dawi wins this stream. The dwarves are 2 for 2 this stream. They've been doing really well. A-Move has certainly been doing his people proud. Certainly no joke there. And yeah, okay, just checking everything. Looks like we're good there. We're good there. No problems. Now we'll read some chat. Yeah, the Feasters in the Dust got blasting charged in the face, and then the dwarves came in with hammers. I mean, imagine like these elite stalwart dwarven infantry just coming in with like huge beatdown hammers and just giving the business to them. That's it's a pretty rough matchup for the boys. Like if you read the books, if you've ever read like the lore books or any of the Gotrek and Felix books, there's a fair amount of dwarf characters because of Gotrek. So there's other slayers, there's dwarven warriors, and dwarf warriors are like super jacked. Like dwarves, like their arms are like the size of like a tree trunk. They can like snap things in half. So dwarves are like freakishly strong creatures, or people, I should say, in the lore. So it makes sense that like dwarven hammers would just absolutely crush something like a crypt ghoul, right? Yeah. Simon Benjamin, thank you for the 10 pounds. Came into the right time, saw my favorite faction beat my least favorite faction. Hey, thank you for the donation, man. Glad you're enjoying it. And now we have another classic matchup in which it's going to be the Skaven versus Lizards. So Yelling Philip, A-Move Hacker, goes Lizards and bans Dark Elves, and Tank is going to pick Skaven on Schwarzhofen here. So we'll see what schemes they got. Yeah, Black Orcs are very good against dwarves, for sure. The Masters of Stone and Steel, yeah, it's a really good book. That's a really fun one. Honestly, though, nothing's quite as good. I mean, I haven't read too many Warhammer books in fantasy, but the Gotrek and Felix books are so good. Like, oh my god, I want to talk about it, but I also don't want to spoil it. Granted, they've been out for like forever, so I guess it's not really a spoiler, but the Gotrek and Felix books, they have some epic battles. Like, oh man, there's like one where Chaos like invades Prague, you know, the Kislev region, and there's just this epic battle. God, it's so good. And they always end with like Gotrek and some like just epic duel with like this immortal villain, right? Like there's times where Gotrek fights a bloodthirster. He fights like this epic chaos lord of Tzeentch. There's just so many cool scenes in those books. There's so many good ones. Alrighty. On the road again. There we go. All right. Well, welcome. A lot of new folks here in the Discord. Glad you guys are here. And again, the tournaments are open to anyone. You just got to follow the rules, show up on time, and you'll be there. ECLs are going in hard this season. I'm curious what we're going to see here from these guys. Philip, I'm sure he has some schemes. I guess you can kind of box with Lizards, but probably not against Skaven since they're going to have the ranged advantage. But Skaven have some new tools. We do, of course, have the Ninja Rats of Clan Eshin. I think we could see Ixcha's Triads with their clones. Very, very good unit. Maybe see a warp grinder to kind of snare down some of those big dinos, a multitude of tools. Oh man, if Gotrek and Felix had a TV series, I would do everything in my power to try and play Felix. I know I'm not a good actor, but I would still try. I would audition if it was possible. Yeah, Gotrek is stronger than... Gotrek has like the ultimate plot armor. I know, Plessy, when those two Slayers go down, it's pretty sad. Yeah, Demon Slayer is a really good novel. Demon Slayer and Beast Slayer are my favorite. So in Demon Slayer, Gotrek and Felix go on this like expedition to a lost dwarven hold in the Chaos Wastes. Oh, it's so good. And then in the Beast Slayer, Gotrek and Felix are like part of they're like defending Prague during a siege against Chaos, like a huge Chaos army. It's with the Kislevites, so it's really cool. First raid, we'll get a link after this next game, no problem. Yeah, I mean, Gotrek I think is stronger than Tyrion for sure. Because the thing is Gotrek has like a really OP axe. He's like a super powerful warrior and very skilled and extremely durable, like freakishly durable. But Gotrek, he has an axe which is like obscenely powerful. It's like he basically Gotrek will fight villains in the books that like are impervious to pretty much anything. But like his axe has like this origin story that I don't know if I like. I'm sure people in chat will say it, but it's like an axe that is like so ancient and powerful that he's able to kill things which normally like just couldn't be killed by mortal means. So that's why he's just such a good like beast. And the axe also like affects him and makes him like stronger as well than like a normal dwarf. So he's just like the Terminator. Yeah, well, Thanquol is one of the main characters in the Gotrek and Felix books. Like a good 30% of the perspective in those books is from Thanquol's perspective. Like he's in pretty much every story in some capacity. Even if he's not directly around Gotrek and Felix, it's giving you perspectives with him. Yeah, freaking what's it called? Is Gotrek's really cool. And he gets like a posse of slayers that kind of hang out with him over the course of the book. So Gotrek and Felix are traveling on these different missions and caravans and things like that. But Gotrek has a really funny kind of dwarven friend named Snorri, who's just like this ridiculous haggard dwarf. His like nose is like smashed across his face, and he has like his ears are like one of his ears is like chopped off, and he has no hair on his head. But instead, since he doesn't have a mohawk, he created a mohawk out of like by nailing actual like steel into his head and creating a metal mohawk. And he's just like, oh, he's just ridiculous. Yeah, Felix also has a very OP sword that he got in the first book. Yeah. Would 40k work in a Total War game? Sam, I think so. I think so for sure. I think 40k Total War would be really easy. I mean, look, you have Devastator squads, right? Rattling gunners are Devastator squads. Tactical squads are literally just like shrunk down handgunner units with some better close combat prowess. You have freaking Forsaken, which are basically Khorne Berserkers. Like, it's an easy transition. Very easy, I think. Pino Fox, I know. I think people were sleeping on it, Pyro Fox, on the piercing bolts. I didn't know about it until Felcon showed me, so I had no idea how powerful it was. Yeah, Snorri is one of my favorite characters in Gotrek and Felix. He's not Snorri, not Grombrindle Snorri, but like Snorri the Slayer. I forget his last name, but he's just such a meme. Yeah. Bjorny was great, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's also another dwarf that hangs out with him named Bjorny. And he's just like this ridiculous slayer, but he's like super like he just literally hangs out in bars like in human cities and anything, and he just like creeps on all the bar wenches and stuff. He's like, he'll go after halfling women. He doesn't care. He's just like this dirty like dwarf slayer. Oh, he's great. Yeah. I know. I think you could make a Gotrek and Felix like TV series. I actually think people would watch that. I think it'd be really cool. Because though it's like simplistic, the writing is really easy to read. It's not like advanced. The stories are pretty linear. It's like there's something very touching about their relationship and like the and then also about like just like the odds they face and like oh, it's great and it's so good. Snorri Nosebiter, that's it. That's right, Snorri Nosebiter. And Bjorny is really good too. And then there's the other one who just gotta feel bad. So basically, like for anyone who doesn't know about Warhammer lore, like Slayers are basically repenting for like a past crime or like a past failure they had or something, by basically taking a Slayer oath, which is they have to go seek their doom. So they're basically going to meet their end at the hands of an enemy. For the dwarven people, that's like super. They're basically looking to die, right, on some epic quest. But poor Gotrek. I mean, obviously Gotrek is, he's the one thing about him is he always like seeks his doom, but he never finds it, which is kind of sad. Sad and good. But the other Slayers around him usually meet their end. Yeah. Hey, Italian Spartacus coming in with a big old $5. Thank you, with that very creepy, disgusting, like, if YouTube has, like, so many resources, is this, like, the best they can come up with these emojis? Oh, man. Gregory Frank, if you're looking to get better at multiplayer, honestly, join some of these Discord communities and just, like, go into the practice areas and just look to get some practice games. Jump and chat with your opponents, ask them about what you're doing wrong. Honestly, just getting repetitions is one of the best ways to get better, for sure. It is Italian Spartacus. He is here. The man, the myth, the legend, dropping a fat whopping $5. Ryan, we were just talking about how much better dwarves are than elves. And how they won the War of Vengeance. And how Gotrek could kick Tyrion's ass. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, Gotrek is like the best Slayer, for sure. But he... he's such a good Slayer that he can't fulfill his doom, right? Yeah. Is this all you can conjure, Saruman? Yeah, Gotrek's a great character though. He's so badass. Like when you have these scenes of Gotrek like facing down like a bloodthirster of Khorne or like these other monsters and just seeing his like gritty determination of not giving a shit, like, oh, it's so cool. All right, guys. Anyways, back to the game. Sorry, I just love those books so much. I'm just having a good old time here. It is true, Ryan. It is true. You know it to be true. All right, so here we go, guys. It's going to be Tank and Amove Hacker. Amove Hacker currently up 1-0 here in this best of 5 finals. And let's take a look at the Skaven. So for the Skaven, they have Natty Boobo Sharpshooters, they have Rattling Gunners, and they do also have Warp Grinders. So the Warp Grinders are... certainly going to be pretty good at snaring down some of the big dinos. A lot of focus fire to deal with other big dinos as well. Rat Ogres in the back. We have Ikit Claw and a Doom Wheel. Very good choice. Able to run over swords. Able to deal with skinks with the terror routes. Very, very good. Plague Priest here. In the back we have Skaven Slaves. And also it looks like there's going to be a Warp Lightning Cannon in the back in the form of Ikit's Zap Zap Cannon. Which of course can reset the cooldown on Slan's casting and different things like that. Yes. Hey Plessy. Stop it with those disturbing emojis. Thank you for the $5 donation, man. But to be completely honest about lore, there are times in lore in which Gotrek is basically losing. Like, he would have lost a duel with someone, but then he gets, like, rescued by Felix or things like that. There's a couple situations where he's, like, in a losing situation. But oftentimes there's, like, some other external factor. Like, Gotrek's been fighting for, like, 8 hours straight. He's exhausted and super wounded, and that's why he's losing. But there have been situations like that where him and Felix have had to team up to take something down. So yeah, pretty solid Skaven army. Definitely love the Plague Priest. Skaven have troubles in the infantry fight here, so bringing a Plague Priest really gives you solid sustainability, more dissension effects, and summons, which can be incredibly impactful. So for the forces here of Yelling Philip, aka Amove Hacker, we have Skinks in the front line, cohort of Sotek. Oh my god, we have the Shredder of Lustria, so he's up a game, taking a huge gamble here. With his giant dinosaur, we have a Sword of Scar veteran, Mazdamundi on his giant steed Zlok. And it looks like the Legion of Chaqua on the back to give missile resist to these units. So for anyone who doesn't know, the Legion of Chaqua has a really cool bound ability called the Shield of Chaqua, which gives missile resist here. And yeah, really, really good against Skaven. So that's pretty much it. He does also have the Powhawks of Sentinels in the back, ready to party. Matthew Smith, thank you for the $5 and your disturbing notifications as well. Yeah, Franz is really badass as well. Yeah, there's so many cool characters in lore. It is Italian Spartacus, the man, the myth, the legend, here in chat, bringing peace and joy to the realm. Oh yeah. No, I haven't read too many 40k books. I've read Thousand Suns. I've read the Horus Rising and that Black Legion series. I'm more into the Warhammer. I'm going to finish Gotrek and Felix before I get back into 40k reading. Mr. Pig, Jason, thank you. #1 fan for the $9.99. It seems a train has started with these ridiculous memes here. So Okay, they're not waiting for me, but now as far as the armies go, I mean, it looks like on paper the Skaven do have the advantage. I don't know if he's going to be able to survive the dual Rattling Gunner Jezzail plus Zap Cannon fire, and his army isn't super wide. Now, normally to shut down a Skaven gun line like this, you would need a super wide army, but his army's pretty elite. So I think A-Move Hacker might be in a little bit of trouble, but again, the dreaded Dread Saurian, if it's able to get its claws on top of Ikit Claw and tear him to shreds, I mean, there are a number of things that could happen. And the single entities, of course, there's a bit of a threat saturation, as you call it. So for example, if you're playing 40k, if you bring one big threat that's easy for your opponent to focus all their elements on, it's easy to play around, right? But in this case, like, he has a couple big threats that need to be dealt with. So even if one's focused down, the other one could tear things apart. So there's a couple variables there. Austin Taylor, thank you for the $5, and you're welcome, man. A lot of content coming your way. In this new year of 2020, I'm going to be trying my best to do a lot of tabletop 40k content, things like that. So here you go. Lizard surging forward. Warp Lightning Cannon's doing some pretty good damage here against Mazdamundi. He does, of course, have Apotheosis, so he can't heal himself. Oh, this is actually really good. I forgot to mention that the rock drop. So the Powhawks as Sentinels do have an ability to drop rocks. So if they get on top of the Zap Cannon and are able to drop their rocks, they can pretty much one-shot the crew and push them back. But so far, the Skaven Firepower doing a ton of damage here against A-Move's forces. Lord Mazdamundi taking a bit of work. And this is really, really good play with the Plague Priest. So basically he gets the Priest over here. He uses it as a bit of a distraction to allow his guns and other assets to really focus in. And it ultimately keeps the Lizards from advancing. Now, yes, the Dread Saurian could chase down the Plague Priest and kill it, but the entire time it's going to be taking focus fire here from the Sharpshooters and some of these other elements. Now, A-Move Hacker really needs to get these Lizards in the back and shut down the Ikit Zap Cannon. And it looks like he's going to be parking. I don't know if Tank has noticed this. And here it comes. You guys ready for this? Y'all ready for this? He needs to drop the rocks now. It looks like Tank has noticed. He's trying to dodge it. Oh, A-Move a little bit slow in the draw there, and it looks like Tank might be able to get away from the rock drop. That is a pretty unfortunate situation for sure. Now, anyways, here Rattling Gunner's going to be opening up on the Skinks. In the back, Mazdamundi does get the shield of the old ones, but the Rattling Gunners and Jezzail's just, unleashing a torrent of fire. You can see the Shredder of Lustria is just waddling in here with all of its might, trying to get in here, but I feel like the Shredder is going to be taken out eventually by the Rattling Gun fire, especially at point-blank range. Very, very cool cinematic there, but regardless, the Shredder taking a lot of HP damage. Mazdamundi's coming in, but he is taking just a beating as well. And the rock drop here has been very, very slow, although it looks like it just went off, but it was a little bit too late, unfortunately. So Mazdamundi dropping Ruination of Cities does some okay damage against the Rattling Gunners and some Skaven slaves, but Mazda, he's missing his toilet seat right now. He's not a comfortable lad for sure. So here comes Mazdamundi. Going to be charging in, maybe trying to get some contact here on the gun lines. And I mean, if the gun line does get compromised here, there is a chance that even these very beat up, tattered single entities could win this fight. Plague Priest in the back going after some of the Skinks. It looks like a Banishment going down as well. Not going to do too much damage because the Natty Boobo Sharpshooters are not super tightly packed, although at the end it does some good work. Only kills 5 models though, so there's still pretty much a full firing capacity here on this unit. So Lord Mazdamundi is afflicted by the Warp Quake, so currently he cannot move and is taking a little bit of AoE damage, but it looks like the snare actually just ended there, but the Warp Quake does slow him. Dread Saurian going to be going here to shut down the Natty Boobo Sharpshooters, and the rocks are actually able to take out the Zap Cannon. So the Zap Cannon is offline for the most part, so very, very good stuff there. And suddenly, guys, no way the Lizards are going to pull this out. It looks like all the gun assets have been taken down. Oh, you can see here that the Ikit Zap Cannon's gone, the Sharpshooters are gone, and Mazdamundi endures. Oh my god, are the Lizards going to be able to pull this out? Apotheosis going down as well. If he wins with the Shredder of Lustria in this fashion, that'll be super impressive. So somehow the Skaven didn't have the mass to really protect all their guns. I think he made a bit of a mistake having all his ogres over here. He needed an ogre just to get in front of the Shredder. Yes, it would lose eventually, but it would buy time, and Mazdamundi would probably die. So now there's a chance for A-Move Hacker here in this game. Granted, the ogres should be able to make some good contact with Mazdamundi and maybe finish him off. Granted, there is a Sara Scarvet here. Mazdamundi's on the run. He has 517 HP. And yeah, this is actually ending up to be a pretty close one here. Shredder of Lustria is going to be going back here to chase down the Rattling Gunners. He basically just needs to make sure all these guns come back online, but I think the Skaven may be able to re-secure an advantage considering the Sharpshooters are back. They're going to be able to turn, probably finish off Jabba, or get some good crossfire on the Shredder of Lustria. So Skaven look like they're restabilizing their position. Some Rat Ogres coming back in, going to be going and engaging against a Scar Veteran who is buffed up by the Harmonic Convergence. So he's a little bit juiced up right now, but nonetheless, Mazdamundi is broken, and with some good control here from Tank, he should be able to actually chase off Lord Mazdamundi. 152, 66 HP, and down goes Mazdamundi. So Mazdamundi gets slapped into the ether by a couple Rat Ogres, and on that note, it looks like the Skaven are going to be pulling out victory. I just don't see the Shredder of Lustria killing everything here. I mean, I guess there's a chance. The balance of power is still kind of close. There are the Powhawks of Sentinels, which if used effectively could shut down a couple gunline units. I'm not sure why A-Move jumped in there with the Powhawks of Sentinels. He needs to pull back and go chase down like the Sharpshooters, these other gun units. And I mean, there is a chance for sure that the Shredder can do some work, especially if it can get some buffering, like have some troops at its feet kind of protecting it. And it looks like we do have the Legion of Chaqua, who's perfect for that purpose here. So balance of power a little bit favored for the Skaven, but still a close game nonetheless, as the Shredder of Lustria is finally able to catch the Natty Boobo Sharpshooters, should be able to shatter them in a matter of moments. We still do have Ikit Claw, we have some Warp Grinders as well, so there's some snares available here, but it looks like the Isara Scar Veteran, unfortunately for the Lizards here, has been taken out. So Shredder of Lustria was able to actually finish off the Sharpshooters in the distance, and now the Legion of Chaqua, unfortunately for the Lizards, is having to fight Ikit Claw on its own without any mass. Oh, it looks like a Warp Lightning is going to be going down here. Yeah, Warp Lightning coming down. Going to be zapping some of the Legion. Very, very nice play there from Tank. Able to get some huge damage on those guys. And it looks like the Skaven probably are going to be able to pull this one out, but I have to say, very well played so far to A-Move Hacker. I'm surprised he was able to make this game this close with a build like that, with the dreaded Shredder of Lustria. So here it comes, getting some Howdah shots here on top of the Rat Ogres. If it was able to get some support, but I don't think the Legion is going to last long enough. I think that the Plague Furnace and the Doom Wheel should be able to break this entire formation here before the Shredder gets back. And the Shredder probably is going to have problems dealing with like 2 Rat Ogres plus Ikit kind of ramming it in the back, plus the Plague Priest. That's a lot of stopping power for sure. Anyways, here, nice isolation. Here the Lizards are able to jump on some Ogres. If the Ogres can get broken off, and, you know, some of the Powhawks and Sentinels can chase them down, that would actually be very strong. In the distance, we do have some Skaven Slaves chasing down some Skink cohorts, which is pretty funny. In the distance, we have pretty much the same thing as well. We do have the remnants of the cohort of Sotek. 4 models left, refusing to die. These guys just going hard into that night. And now we have the Shredder of Lustria. So what is this dreadful beast going to do to the Skaven here? Is it going to be able to pull this game back? It's possible, I guess, but not likely. It's probably going to break on leadership. That's going to be its main issue. Shredder of Lustria only has 34 leadership left right now, and it looks like there might be a snare going down, some sort of a warp quake. No, that's actually the Mortis Engine effect from the Plague Priest, who I believe was just in combat a moment ago. And there are some rat summons as well. I think the Shredder of Lustria needs to go for the kill and take out some high value assets, but look at this. It's actually terrifying off the Rat Ogres. Oh, is the Shredder going to carry this game? I don't think so. That balance of power is pretty hard to come back from, and he's relatively close to army losses. But the Shredder is turning about, and he's going to start munching on top of this Plague Priest. And oh, is this going to be a Warp Lightning on top of the... let's see how much damage this does. 2,700. Wow, that did 500 damage. Man, Warp Lightning and Piercing Bolts. Maybe there's been some sort of a change, or people have just been sleeping on it. But that Warp Lightning zapped the hell out of that Shredder of Lustria. That was awesome. So the Shredder able to actually break off the Plague Priest, though. Does he have anything else? He does have the Legion of Chaqua coming back, which is quite huge. And it looks like that's going to be army losses. Yeah, the Rat Ogres plus Ikit Claw would be able to win that battle. Man, well played to those two players. Tank pulling it back despite losing all his guns, and A-Move making it work with the Shredder. Impressive play from both of those fine gentlemen there. So let's go ahead and update the scoreboard here. To be 1-1 in this best of 5. A good series so far. Here we go. Boom and a boom. And the next map is going to be... It's going to be Prague. The site of the great Second Chaos Invasion. Here we go. Trying to go down in the books of history, winning with the Shredder of Lustria. The Rats were able to pull out the victory today. Tank brought a pretty big gun line now. Had A-Move gone with like a very wide army, he would have been able to probably crush that Skaven build, but, you know, it's how the cookie crumbled. GG, drop from both players. Remember... It's best of 5. Go, next game. That was a really good game. It was really, really good. The Warp Lightning Cannons are, I think they're fine. They're pretty expensive pieces, and they're really easy to snipe too, so I think that was quite solid. We'll see what the players pick and ban. He's thinking about the mashup here. Yeah, we're not playing with the we're playing with the different rule sets. So there's no limit on how many RORs you can have. So we do not have the unit caps turned on at the moment. All right, guys, 1 second here. We're doing it to it. Life is good. We're going strong. All right, perfect. Here we go. Everything looks good setting-wise. And I wonder what the next picks are going to be. We've seen dwarves. We've seen the Proudjaw. We've seen Skaven, lizards. I wonder what faction range they have. Tank probably going to go with like vampire counts or something. Now, if he were to go for vampire counts, what would he ban is the question. I wonder what he would ban with vampire counts. Probably just ban... I mean, there's a couple hard matchups for them for sure. Skaven always winners victory, yes, yes. Malice is decent. I don't think he's as good as Malekith, but I don't think Malice Darkblade's bad. I think he has some really good AoE abilities and debuffs and things like that, but I think Malekith is much more competitive, as is Marathi, but I would say that he's better than Lokir. He's a decent choice. I think there are some builds in which Malice isn't terrible, or, is maybe preferable in some ways, but Soul Stealer is just such a good ability. Yeah. Deathmaster is not bad either. Deathmaster isn't bad. There are some builds in which he's pretty good. I think Skrolk is still probably a better choice in many situations, and Ikit Claw on the Doom Wheel, but I think that Snitch is good. He's competitive. Yeah. It's hard to say. They're not... the new lords aren't as good as some of the old faithfuls, but they're still not bad, which is cool. Like, they have a place, right? It's like Marcus Wolfheart, sort of. Marcus probably isn't as common and good as, like, Franz or Toddy, but he's still a good choice. Like, he has his place. Yeah, Deathmaster you have to be very careful with. He's a fickle lord. He's very squishy. He has like less than 3,000 HP. So if you're not careful, he can get chumped down pretty good. Release the Kraken. All right. So we have Norska being picked. I would take Norska and banning pirates. I'm surprised to see Tank ban the Vampire Coast after he dispatched them so easily with Norska before. Oh, we have Norska versus Greenskins, a true slobber knocker. We have the Wa facing off against the Enrage mechanic. Things are going to get wild. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be violent. It's going to be great. So Brian, right now in 40k, Chaos Space Marines are probably my main force. I play Death Guard a lot, but right now I'm working on a Chaos Space Marine army mostly. So I just played an RTT, not this weekend, but the weekend before, which is basically a regional Warhammer 40k tournament. I actually got second place with Chaos Space Marines. I used Warp Talons, from the Night Lords. I had Warp Talons. I had Noise Marines from the Emperor's Children. I had some Obliterators, and then I had a Death Guard tank line. So basically, I had Death Guard tanks pushing up, the Plague Burst Crawlers, and behind them I had like Noise Marines jumping out of rhinos and shooting, and I had Warp Talons going after the enemy back line. It was a pretty sweet army for sure. I was able to beat Ultramarines, and I also beat what was the other one? Death Watch. But I lost to another Chaos player actually who. It was a really close game. It came down to like the last play. I lost to a Chaos player who had like a mass Dreadnought list with the Leviathans and Contemptors and stuff. Yeah, Death Guard are pretty bad right now, but Death Guard tanks are still really good. So basically I use Death Guard tanks to support my CSM stuff. Yeah. What about new units? How competitive are Medusas? The Beastmaster is pretty good because he has... See, the Beastmaster is a good lord. He's very good, but the problem with him is that Malekith exists and these better lords. So he's often not picked simply because of how good those other characters are. He's good though. He's very good. It's a Tormentor sword, good buffs, can't complain. The other thing that you asked about are Medusas. Medusas are weird. I don't think they're that good. I think they're a little weak, but perhaps after some tweaks they might get in the future, they'll be okay. Yeah, I'm excited to do some battle reports and things like that. Yeah. Yeah, orcs are really good in 40k. I play in a league as well, and the players playing for first place this week are actually orc players. There's two orcs playing each other, which is pretty funny. What are high elves good against? I'm not sure. I'm not that good at high elves. That would be a good question for Arrow, who's here in chat, actually. Yeah, but I mean, high elves. I actually like high elves against like Empire and against like vampires, and I don't know. That's just my experience, though. But I'm not very good at them. Scourge Runner Chariots are really good. Those are probably like the best of all the new units. They're really, really strong. Make sure there's no questions. Good luck, have fun being dropped. We're in game 3 here, so regardless, we have at least 2 more games, but potentially more. Yeah. Yeah, the Beastmaster is pretty good on a Manticore because he can get like crazy combat stats with his Beast Slaver ability, and he can also whiplash your other monsters. You can get whiplash the what's it called, the the Guardian character that's going to be with him. And yeah, he does well. And Tormentor Sword is really the thing, though. Here we go. It's time. Let there be a reckoning. Drop of the hat, my biggest 40k. It says my biggest 40k army is Orcs. Yeah, Orcs are good. Orcs are really strong in 40k right now. They actually do well against Space Marines. Not like super well, but Space Marines are currently like super overpowered in Warhammer 40k. They just like are just so much better than everyone else. If you're playing Iron Hands. Sepulchral Stalkers, yeah, they're really good now. Much better for sure. Well, I'm really excited that Games Workshop is bringing back Warhammer Fantasy as a tabletop game in a couple of years. So I'll cover Warhammer 40k on my channel, and eventually I'd like to actually do a ton of tabletop content and have like a space, like a recording space, kind of like how Tabletop Tactics has it, and have like a group of people that play regularly, and and do Warhammer Fantasy with my Empire army, which I have, and then also do 40k content. So we'll see someday, perhaps. Yeah, Death Guard really needs some buffs. Psychic Awakening. All right, guys, here we go. It's going to be Norska versus Greenskins. An absolute slobber knocker, I think is the best way to describe it. Very, very aggressive beatdown style matchup. And it looks like we have some Daka from the Greenskins. So for Norska, who's going to be led by Tank, it looks like in the front, combination of Marauders and Berserkers with some Norskan Ice Trolls getting in there. So Frostbite, of course, always a good ability, but the Trolls hit hard. So if they have the Berserkers kind of anchoring the ground in front of them, these bad boys can beat down things like Black Orcs. On top of that, we have Wulfric on his Mammoth. We have a Shaman Sorcerer of Death, a couple of groups of Marauder Horsemen, and that's pretty much it. Some light skirmishing as well, which is pretty good against Greenskin, monsters and some of their cav units, and gives you some pressure on the archer line in the back. Now for the forces here of A-Move Hacker, we have, is that Skarsnik? Oh yes, we have Skarsnik, the Warlord of Ape. Oh no, we don't. We have a Night Goblin Warboss. I got so excited, but nonetheless, he's still very cool. He's cheap. He's immune to psychology. He has a Tormentor Sword. Pretty good for the Daka play, because you have a lot of Greenskin archers. Having that Tormentor Sword to lock down your targets is very strong. In the front line, we got 4 Black Orcs, Savage Orc Biggins on the flanks, 4 Goblin Spider Riders supported by the Broken Tusk Mob in the back, and some Gobos. And of course, a big Daka line, so it's going to be Goblin Archers with some Orc Air Boys. Very, very solid build. I think the Black Orcs are a great choice. They're going to be able to really beat down the Marauders and the Berserkers with their armor and their just durability. They're immune to psychology, so they won't get terror-routed off. And the Archer line with good Tormentor Sword play should be able to shut down Wulfric. Granted, this is all subjective. Of course, Norska has its own skirmishing tools and ways to get into the back line, and the Trolls will put some hurt on the Black Orcs. So the Daka line is really going to have to lend its aid here to this battle. So we'll see. We will see. So Brian Dixon saying my volume is low. I think that might be on your end, because I don't think anybody else is having issues with my volume. But if you guys are, let me know in chat, please. So here we have the Marauder Horsemen coming forward to prod and poke. If they're able to get some shots into the Savage Orc Biggins, who of course have like no armor, actually 0 armor, that could be quite cost effective. Granted, the Orc Daka should be able to kind of keep things in check. Norska coming forward as well. Wulfric can get his pirate ships, which can do some good damage against the Black Orcs. So here comes a volley coming in from the Horsemasters. Good play. I don't think it got any models, but it was able to get 1 model there from the Savage Orc Biggins, but now they're going to be pulled into the Orc Daka line, so the Marauder Horsemasters need to be careful. Make sure they don't take too much damage, because Orc Archers should be able to kind of fend them off relatively efficiently here. So just light skirmishing going on the flanks. Tank trying to pick at the weak parts of the army, going after the light armor here of the Savage Orcs. But the longer he does this, I mean, the more fire he's going to be taking from the Greenskin Archers. And yeah, it's going to be a tricky situation. Thanks, guys. Glad to hear the volume is good. Much appreciated. And yeah, Black Orcs just kind of hanging out. It looks like there was a missile attack, a Vindictive Glare that was dropped here after the Shaman Sorcerer and did some really good damage. Oh, we just got blasted in the face. The Shaman Sorcerer down to half health after the Night Goblin able to use the Madcap Mushrooms to double shoot his Vindictive Glare. Beautiful cast right there. Very, very good start to the game here for A-Move Hacker. His skirmishing has gone pretty well for the Greenskins as well. They've been able to poke back the Horsemasters pretty effectively. The Greenskin Daka quite happy about the situation, and I think the skirmishing is certainly not favoring the Norskins, who have to kind of ride back and forth. They have a lower model count in terms of their overall output, and the Greenskin Archers are barely taking any damage back. On top of that, A-Move Hacker has gotten his Goblins out in front to create a bit of a buffer, and the Goblins, of course, have silver shields and are an ideal kind of screening against skirmishing units and things like that. So yeah, the Greenskins have some pretty decent range play for sure, especially how cheap their Archers are. You can have a lot of them. So it looks like Wulfric's going to be coming in. I wonder if the Lord, the little Goblin, you can see the Night Goblin Warboss, probably going to come forward and drop a Tormentor Sword to keep Wulfric from getting too crazy, because this Mammoth is going to hurt. So he's dropping his Long Fang, or his Sea Fang ship here, to do some damage to the Black Orcs. Really nice kind of shock impact there, as those Haggard Pirates go along there and do some work. Black Orc's taking some damage for sure, but the Greenskin Daka line able to force back Wulfric pretty efficiently. And now it looks like the Greenskins are going to be surging forward with their Black Orcs. But man, Wulfric taking some work. And the little goblins basically coming in trying to get a Tormentor Sword, but Wulfric was smart and was able to pull back before that really came to fruition. So in the back line, Broken Tusk Mob and Company able to fend off the Beast of Tashnar. So really unfortunate that the Norskins lost their backline pressure in the form of the Hounds. But Wulfric has come back in the front line, but Amuf Hacker has this guy in his sights. Vindictive Glare is going to be going down as well, and a Tormentor Sword here could be just devastating. So here it comes. I would probably Torment and then attack the Shaman. Oh, look at that. Brutal. Wulfric's just going to be getting Daka'd so hard in the face. And even if each of those arrows only does 1 damage, that still adds up. So Wulfric getting crumped pretty bad here. Gork'll fix it his pop, so his speed is 29 right now. And the Shaman Sorcerer is just getting punished here by this little Night Goblin Shaman here. So far it looks like a pretty commanding position here for the Greenskins. As Wulfric's getting punished, the frontline engagements are just very Greenskin favored, as the Black Orcs are just holding against the Trolls, immune to Psychology, beating down the Icehorn Marauders. Not that they need that immune to Psych against them, but it's keeping Wulfric from routing them off. And Wulfric's broken. Greenskins have the mobility advantage, which means Wulfric is going to get chased off the battlefield by these Forest Goblin Spider Riders. Vindictive Glare going down, and the Greenskin Haggard Archers just getting in there, and Wulfric is going to fall. Down goes his steed, down goes the Mammoth, falling amongst the Spider Riders. And I'm not sure where Wulfric is. Maybe he's like kind of... He's just resting his eyes, guys. That's what I always tell myself when I see the Ewoks go down in Star Wars. Anyways, Night Goblin Warboss and Company here, able to break up the Trolls. The Black Orcs just absolute linebackers, holding their formations firm. And the Norskin Trolls here are now going to become the new focal point here for the Greenskin Daka, and they are not going to last long against the pressure. And I think that's going to be a pretty quick game for the Greenskins, putting them up to, or Amuf Hacker to a 2-1. Missile attack coming in, going after, I believe, the Shaman. And the Shaman getting blasted, now getting hunted by the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. Really, really good build right there. Good Tormentor Sword play, good focus fire. And an infantry fight was won, the missile fight was won, the skirmishing phase was won. And that's going to be a pretty solid victory there for Amuf Hacker and the Greenskin Wa. Well played. Well played, yeah. Wulfric got focused pretty hard for sure. Well, he couldn't really move. He was snared by Gork'll Fix-It and the Tormentor Swords. He was constantly slowed. So let's go ahead and update that scoreboard. It's going to be 2-1 for Amuf, and if Amuf wins the next game, that is it. It is going to be over, my friends. So let's go ahead and get to the next map, which is going to be Central Chaos Wastes. So let's do this. Central Chaos Wastes. Look, have fun. Players are going to do their next picks and bans, and we'll see how this goes. Yeah, that's what's really... Jason Denny or Mr. Pig, you have a really good point about that. Orc Archers are incredibly solid against like hounds because they're pretty strong in combat. So like if you attack a group of like Savage Orc Arrowboys with some Warhounds, those Savage Orc Arrowboys are going to turn around with their 38 weapon strength and just start, punching those Chaos Hounds in the face. They're pretty cool for that. And that's why Orc Daka lines are pretty strong. One of the reasons. I think the Frost Trolls weren't that great. I think going with like Fimir would have been better because they have missile resist, more armor against Greenskin Archers, and will be more durable just ultimately against Black Orcs. Yes, they're more expensive, but the Trolls kind of just didn't really get in there. The Frostbite is basically wasted investment because you don't really need it if they're fighting in the front line. So, yeah. For Squig Tone, yeah. All right, I'm going to get some water. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Spirit of Gorg, thank you for the donation. He says, -2 Celsius here in Vienna. Love the stream, bro. Hey, man, right back at you. Hopefully you're surviving the cold. You got some nice heaters. All that good stuff, but that is brutal indeed. Yeah, it was pretty rough. Skarsnik and Goblet versus Felix and Gotrek. Oh, Gotrek and Felix would smash them. In like straight up combat? For sure, but I mean, the thing is, Skarsnik would challenge Gotrek and Felix to a fight, and then he would, when Gotrek and Felix appeared, he would disappear and a horde of goblins would attack Gotrek and Felix, right? He wouldn't like fight them fair, ever. So, that's how that would go down. So it looks like Tank is going to go dwarves. Oh, look at that. So Yelling Philip, a.k.a. A-Move Hacker, is going to be going Wood Elves, and he's going to be banning nothing. He chooses to ban nothing. What a powerhouse play. And Tank is going to pick dwarves. Now, dwarves typically have some good tools against Wood Elves. They're very durable. They're shielded. But yeah, I mean, there's some good Wood Elf builds. You can go with like Wildwood Ranger Rushes. I mean, tons of Cav play. You can go with Dragons. You can go with Way Watchers. I mean, there's a lot of ways to play it. I think it's a matchup that is slightly dwarf favored, but not like in such a way that it's impossible. You want schemes? Well, we saw some schemes. There was plenty of goblins on that battlefield, you know, and the army itself was led by a goblin. Imagine Black Orcs taking orders from a goblin. Probably not something you can really visualize, but it's kind of like in Lord of the Rings, you know, how the Uruk-hai like look at the goblins and regular orcs as like peasants. I feel like it'd be the same in Warhammer Fantasy. What does Gotrek do during the end times? He literally walks through a portal into the realm of chaos, and then that's how he transcends into the Age of Sigmar, I guess. Because he wasn't in the old world when it implodes. God, I hate Age of Sigmar. Just triggers me so much. After I've become so beloved to all these characters, but thankfully they are bringing back the what's it called? Old world in Warhammer Fantasy, so that's really cool. I mean, honestly, Age of Sigmar, the gameplay is cool. I just don't like the lore. That's the main thing. Pump those dwarven legs. Calamar Cinderpaw, you can do that, but the dwarves can screen, and they also have artillery. So the Way Watchers will be taking fire from artillery potentially as well. So it's not as easy to do that as you would think. But yeah, Ariel would be a cool lord. I think Wood Elves. Yeah, Wood Elves just have Durthu and Orion. Yeah, they're really lacking on the legendary lords. Same with Norska. They only have 2. There's a couple other factions I think that only have a couple. Or are those the only ones? Yeah, too cool. I know Turin Bar. Yeah, from the first stage, and yeah. I'm not named after that. My family, on my dad's side of the family, the middle names have been Turin for like several generations. So it's my middle name. It's my dad's. It's his dad's. It's his dad's. So it's just a ancestral family name, which I decided to, in a very uninspired manner, to name my channel after. That's some delicious water. Goodness gracious. So dwarves versus elves. I'm quite curious how A-Move is going to try and deal with this. I kind of know what Tank is going to do. I think I have an idea. But A-Move, I'm just like, there's a couple ways Wood Elves can do this. You know who I actually think isn't bad here is Mel Gibson. Like with his Cloak of Aisha. He has some good Vortex abilities which are bound to him and free. They don't cost any ones of magic. Plus he has great AP. So he can get in there and start, doing some serious work with his spear. And he has enough mass to push through dwarf infantry. And he's a smaller target. Yeah, he can get focused down, but if you're careful and juke efficiently, he should be okay. We have another dwarf game. So far, like, I remember in the last couple seasons, we had like no dwarf games forever. But now we've had 3 today already, and the dwarves are 2-2. They haven't dropped a game yet today in any of their matches. So grudges are being satisfied for sure. Should have been Age of Gorst. Oh my god. Yeah. Helm and Gorst. Yeah, Gorst is the man. I thought about playing some Gorst games this week. I'll probably try and get one. Gorst without his brothers, just on foot, coming in hard. Gyrocopters. I think bringing like 1 or 2 gyrocopters in this matchup isn't actually bad, because it gives you some battlefield control, and you can actually juke like Waywatcher Fire and things like that, and they can shoot Wild Riders, they can shoot Treekin and drop bombs on the infantry. I think like 1 or 2 gyros isn't bad, just to have some like scouting and battlefield control for the dwarves, for sure. Well, Spirit of Gorg, the profitability of G-dubs is from 40k. It's not from AOS, if I'm not mistaken. 40k is like killing it right now in terms of, and 40k is in a great, aside from Space Marines being like super overpowered, 40k is in a pretty good place, like in 8th edition. It's really, really fun. And the models are really cool. The story isn't bad. Yeah. Oh. And I mean, like, the fact that they're bringing back, you know, the old world in Warhammer Fantasy, that's a pretty big tell that, like, you know, they've, perhaps some of the new management over the past couple of years has been doing a good job. Yeah. Yeah, there is a new Bretonnian Lord in the Araby region, yeah. In, like, the books and, like, Gotrek and Felix and some of the other ones, dwarves are probably, like, some of my favorite characters. They're just so ridiculous, like, and awesome at the same time. Oh, man. Gotta do some stretches, guys. Yeah, Dwarf Engineer Hero. You could bring Micus in. That's, how do you say his name? I think it's, let me Google it real quick. Get his name. Yeah. Second. What's his name? It's like, I think it's Micahson or... Shh. I'm looking right now. Hold on. Yeah, Malachi Micahson. That's his name. He's a dwarven engineer in Warhammer Fantasy, and he creates like a huge gunship. It's like a flying gunship thing. It's like the size of like a boat, and it just flies in the sky. And that's how Gotrek and Felix go to the Chaos Wastes. He flies in there. But he'd be really cool. He's like he's a dwarf engineer character, but he's also a slayer. He's a slayer engineer. Imagine how cool that would be. Malachi Micahson, yeah. I think he'd be really, really badass. All right. I'd have to check the rules. They're asking if shielded and unshielded variants are considered the same unit. I don't remember. I'd have to check the rules because we're using a kind of a newer rule set. I just told them to go check the document. Yeah, there's a lot of cool dwarf characters. But yeah, imagine if the dwarves could get, like, you get Malachi Micahson, and then you get his gunship as an ROR, like Queen Bess type ROR. It's like a huge flying dwarven blimp that just like drops, like, because in the books he creates this huge blimp which is enough to carry like a small army, and it has like organ guns strapped on the side of it, and it drops like huge bombs, so it literally just floats above the battlefield like organ guns shooting. Like, oh, that would be so cool. Imagine that. Yeah, I don't know how you'd bounce that. It'd be tough. Oh my god, if you gave dwarves high mass units like golems, I feel like they'd be really brutal. Arrow, thank you for answering the question. Shield units counters, yeah. They do. Cool. Thank you, Arrow. Much appreciated, man. Yeah, I just couldn't remember, Arrow. I wasn't sure. It's been a while, man. I've been in the Wildlands. The Flying Fortress, yeah. He's really cool, and like Malachi Micahson, he has this like ridiculous accent, so like people just barely understand what he's saying. And he's a slayer and an engineer. He just like creates all these ridiculous contraptions. All right, players are ready. Tank and A-Move Hacker here in the grand finals. This could potentially be the last game. So there currently is a 2-1 advantage in place. How's it going to go? Is A-Move Hacker going to close out the series with a 3-1, or is it going to get tied up? We have Dwarves versus Wood Elves here in this grudge match, I suppose. I don't think like Dwarves have too much against Wood Elves compared to like High Elves and things like that and Dark Elves, but I'm sure there's still just a general dislike for Elves. Yeah, dwarf infantry are pretty high mass, for sure. But imagine if dwarves had like golems, like they would just sit in like boxes of doom and just like shoot at you with like their golems screening you out. Oh my god. The Dawi Flying Fortress would be awesome. I would be a huge fan of that. Hey, and guys, thank you so much for joining today, by the way. I really appreciate you guys. It's good to be back streaming. I certainly missed it while I was gone. And yeah, we're going to be having the ECLs every weekend, so stay tuned for those. And going to be working on some fun content over the course of the next week. And yeah, life is good, my friends. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the dwarves and see what they got cooking in the kitchen here. So Tank, oh yes, immediately hard not to root for Tank as he does bring the white dwarf. Now Grombrindle, of course, a powerhouse duelist of his own, but what's really nice about him in this matchup is he does have Flash Bomb. So if you're able to catch the Wood Elves in a precarious situation, their cav come in, you punish them with Flash Bomb, you profit. Pretty cool. On top of that, he's got Quarrelers, and it looks like Bugman's Rangers maybe mixed in as well. No, it's just going to be Quarrelers in the front line. It's going to be Dwarf Warriors across the board, Dragonback Slayers as well, and it looks like he does have a juicy Organ Gun. Very, very neat, as well as a second Organ Gun. All right, so Organ Gun's pretty good at shredding Wild Riders and Cav-type units. Not quite as good against single entities in my anecdotal experience, but again, that could be wrong. But yeah, pretty solid little Dwarf army, very standard stuff. The White Dwarf going to be leading a contingent of his people. Now for the forces of the Elves, and this is going to be interesting to see what they brought. He does have Wild Riders, Eternal Guard mixed with the Winterheart Guard, and it looks like he also has War Dancers. Very interesting stuff. Should be able to outclass standard Dwarf infantry, but of course anything like Longbeard tier or above, it's going to be hard for them. Ancient Tree Man with some healing, and it looks like the dreaded Double Eagle with some Sisters of Thorn and Wild Riders ready to pressure the flank. Cool army, for sure. Quite excited to see how this goes. No Gyrocopters, but, you know, the Gyrocopters would actually be in bad shape here against the Great Eagles. They are faster than Gyros and could chase them down and probably put some pressure on them, and Great Eagles are very, very cheap as well. So I like the army. Quite eager to see how it does. Ancient Tree Man certainly going to be taking some focus fire, but at least he has some healing, and at least if he's being focused, the rest of the army is perhaps going to be doing its job. Stannis, thank you for the $2 donation with that creepy, disgusting emoji. Not sure what's going on there, but I really appreciate it. I know, double organ gun. It's a New Year's gift coming in from Tank of Clan VM facing off against... We have a Clan VM facing off against Clan QSA here in the finals. Pretty cool stuff. Fighting for their people. And it looks like there is a Vanguard in the back. The Elves do, of course, have some Wild Riders who've managed to outflank the Dwarves here. Going to be coming in. And with Organ Gun, though, from Tank, it should be able to turn and just wreck those guys super quick. What A-Move probably wants to do is just kind of sit out of range of the Organ Guns until the infantry close the distance, and then he collapses. If he gets a little bit overzealous and takes that free fire, it's going to be a tough one, to say the least. To say the least. So Organ Guns haven't started shooting yet. It looks like they may turn around here, but it looks like A-Move is actually going to be scooting up his entire army, including the Organ Guns, going to be repositioning. The one thing about the Elves is they have a very wide army. There's a lot of infantry which probably outnumbers the Dwarven infantry, or at least comes close. So he may be able to get around the back with his Cav and his Eagles and actually shut down the gun lines and some of those other troops pretty effectively. But I'm quite eager to see what kind of damage the Organ Guns are going to kind of reap upon these guys in the beginning of the battle. So the Organ Guns going to be turning, shooting into them. The Eagles are going to be taking some pot shots from the Quarrelers, but they should be able to juke those shots. A-Move Hacker with some good micro there is able to dodge most of that focus fire. Now, is he going to get the Eagles and actually go in and attack the Quarrelers? It looks like he might. I mean, I guess there's not too many things nearby to really prevent this. Yeah, why not, right? Just go after the Quarrelers, get some picks. Probably going to be able to take out some models. Granted, there could be some crossfire coming in from them. And there are some Slayers in the back. So if the Dragonback Slayers are... Oh, these are just regular Slayers? If they're able to get on the Eagles, they should be able to do some serious damage. But so far, Tank needs to get those guys up there for sure. The Slayers need to get those Eagles because the Organ Gun is shut down right now in a very crucial moment. But it looks like the Organ Gun was able to punish those Sisters. And the other Organ Gun is shooting downtown at what appears to be the Ancient Tree Man. So shooting at the tree... Hold on. Oh man, water went down the wrong side of the pipe there, guys. So hopefully you don't mind just enjoying the game as it is for just a moment more. I should be ready soon. Oh man, I almost choked on that water, guys. It went down the wrong side of the pipe, and oh man, that was brutal. I can still like barely. Oh man, that got me good. But yeah, anyways, guys, sorry. Hopefully you've been enjoying the game without any of that sweet commentary. But looks like for the most part, the Wood Elves have gotten pretty well into the lines. The Organ Guns here about to be compromised by the Sisters of Thorn. Goodness gracious. Sigmar's miracle. Sigmar, bless me. Well, hopefully you guys can forgive me for that. That really happens, but you know, happens every now and then. Yeah, it's been an interesting battle. You can see the Wild Riders back here going to be trying to get on the Organ Guns. The two Great Eagles too, a very, very strange pick. I've actually been surprisingly good. A bit of a threat saturation with the Ancient Tree Man and the Great Eagles. Oh man, I can barely do this. It's very peaceful. Oh curses, I hate when that happens. It's happened to me in a couple casts in the past few months, but that's what happens when you try and drink in a hurry, boys. Anyways, here. Quarrelers shooting downtown. Slayers trying to fight down the Ancient Tree Men, but it really, in some ways, looks like the Wood Elf Eagle Goon Squad has been able to take out the Organ Guns, and now without the Organ Guns, and if you can shut down most of the Quarrelers, the standard Dwarf Infantry like the Longbeards and these other troops aren't going to be super efficient at taking out things like the Ancient Tree Men, but of course Dwarven Infantry across the board are going to be doing pretty well against like standard Wood Elf Infantry. And things like that. I just barely live. Oh my goodness. Praise the ancestors, I know. Well, as far as the Bounce of Power goes, it's actually Wood Elf favored, which is very interesting. And I guess he's done a pretty good job of taking out Organ Guns. I'm sorry I missed most of the game, so I wasn't able to really focus, but hopefully the camera was at least on the focal point of the action so you guys could see that. A bit of an anticlimactic ending, but nonetheless, let's take a look, take some inventory on what the dwarves have left. Longbeards over here, Dwarf Warriors and Company, fighting against a horde of Eternal Guard. And mind you, Eternal Guard do have good AP values themselves and good melee defense, so they're not terrible against like baseline Dwarf Infantry, but it seems like the Eagles and the mobility was able to take advantage of the fact that there wasn't that much to kind of protect against it. The formation of the Dwarves was somewhat loose, it seems, and the Wild Riders and the Eagles were able to get on some really good targets, but again, Balance bar is pretty even, and of course the Dwarves are going to be pretty good in the long game, so eventually these Wood Elf Infantry will get worn down, and that Ancient Tree Man could potentially be chopped down by the Dragonback Slayers. Oh my goodness. I know, I need a straw. That was just absolute anarchy, but yeah, it's a very, very close game still. Wild Riders getting a nice another charge here in the back on top of the Quarrelers, able to really just kind of wreck those guys down. But the Dwarves have a ton of baseline infantry left. There's a horde of Longbeards, and the Longbeards are really going to be the problem children for sure. I mean, even against the Great Eagle only has 30 armor, so Longbeards should be able to put some hurt on those guys. But of course, there probably still is some healing from the Ancient Tree Man, but if there's only single entities left, for example, if the rest of the Wood Elf Infantry get cut down, then the Wood Elves, the Ancient Tree Man, as well as their Great Eagles, will have to stay in sustained combat with the Dwarves. But I don't see that being an issue here in the foreseeable future. Yeah, cast it separately. I know, I could, but I think it should be fine. We could watch it again, but I think you guys probably get the picture of it for the most part. So Bounce of Power again is Wood Elf favored as the Dwarves are trying to grind this one out, but the Winterheart Guard is surprisingly ace of a unit. These guys, of course, unbreakable. 54 melee defense is going to be pretty good against a relatively low melee attack of most of these Dwarf Infantry, who, of course, aren't the aggressive variants. But the Longbeard's holding pretty firm, and Grombrindle is still going to be an issue. I think what the Dwarves need to do at this point is grab Grombrindle, grab these other forces, and form a bit of a Helm's Deep upon which to fight. Oh, man. That was totally like an Emperor Palpatine moment. I'm too weak, I can't cast anymore. Anakin, help me. Grombrindle's coming in here. Dragonback Slayers, unfortunately, are fighting against infantry, which means that their effectiveness is going to be a little bit wasted there, rather than being on the Ancient Tree Man, but you can't have everything in life. Flash Bomb has been dropped as well. Not so much as a snare here, but the Flash Bomb basically just going to be used to lower the melee defense of these Eternal Guard and some of these other troops. So Getting some good karate chops. Sorry guys, my throat's still like clearing up. I'm sure that's super obnoxious, but I suppose I'm only human, right? It happens to the best of us. So here you can see these war dancers coming in. 39 here. It looks like 22 right there. Dwarven infantry holding firm, and you can see the wood elves in many fronts are buckling off. Some of these wild riders are getting pushed back. And of course, the ancient treeman does do magic damage, and magic damage is mitigated by pretty much all dwarf infantry at a rate of 25%. So these dwarf warriors, though they're getting terrified, they're not really taking a ton of damage overall. Also, Longbeards are immune to psychology, so if the Longbeards can kind of stick in there and fight, they should be able to do pretty well. And Gromby is still going to be an issue to be dealt with. But I mean, if Gromby is fully surrounded by like Eternal Guard and troops like that, he probably will go down as the course of this this game does go here. So let me get this chat going back here in a moment. So everything's just falling apart here, guys. Yeah, the dwarves really need to group together for sure. Having these units get like terror routed off and then pushed off and then, you know, chased off by the more mobile Wood Elf forces, especially like these Sisters of Thorin and things like that, is pretty punishing. But somehow it looks like the Wood Elves have been able to do it. Shutting down the organ guns early was pretty big. Getting the Great Eagles in there and poking down the organ guns on the approach was quite massive. I just feel like Tank wasn't able to really protect all of his backline assets terribly effectively. And the Ancient Treeman able to get in there and slap the base a little bit, but who would have thought the dreaded double Great Eagle would be able to actually take apart the Dwarven back line? I guess there wasn't any Thunders, and that's the thing why I'm, like, in many matchups, I'm more of a fan of the Thunders because they have a more direct arc of fire, whereas Quarrelers can be juked a lot easier by, like, single entities like Eagles and things like that. So Grombrindle continuing to fight here in the pocket, but he's pretty much by himself, and he's healthy, and he's not unbreakable, though. I mean, you would think, I think Grombrindle probably from a lore perspective should be unbreakable for sure. He's like this ghostly ancestor who's just like a terror in the night. But dwarves still have 31 Longbeards, but I just don't think Gromby's going to be able to deal with the saturation of the Wood Elf infantry here. There's still a fair amount of war dancers. Nice little smoke bomb right there is going to be tanking the melee defense and the charge speed, now that it matters that much that they're already in combat. But I mean, I don't know. I don't see Grombrindle putting this one on its back. The Ancient Treeman can, you know, fight him while the Eagle Cycle charges him at the back. It's just going to be too much in that respect. There are some Slayers fighting here as well, and it looks like there's still a fair amount of Longbeards. Gromby's in a hard fight here, and it looks like Gromby actually was able to beat down these guys, which is quite impressive. But here comes the Eagle attacking the Proud Slayers here. It looks like in total there's 6 Slayers left. 3 Dragonback Slayers. We got 25 Longbeards, but those guys are even wavering. It's getting dangerously close to army losses. I mean, Grombrindle would have to have some pretty heroic beatdowns here of the Great Eagle. And I mean, it looks like he's trying to push through to get onto the Ancient Treeman. A bit of a mistake. I think sitting and fighting against the Great Eagle might have been a better decision, but it looks like he's going for gold. He's going to be trying to take out the Ancient Treeman. If this were a comeback, that would be one for the ages, but I simply don't think it's going to be possible, as the Winterheart Guard, of course, provide a really nice armor-piercing core, and that's going to be army losses for the dwarves. So my apologies for the Palpatine moment and just choking and being blasted by Force Lightning there, but we did it. Gromby tried. So the dwarves do drop a game, guys, and with that, if I'm not mistaken, A-Move Hacker is going to be advancing on to the grand finals, and A-Move Hacker is going to be the champion of the first qualifier of Season 4. So let's go ahead and upgrade here. Upgrade, update. Then we'll also head on over to our tablet, where we will add his name. So let me go ahead here. We'll add his name to the tablet. A-Move Hacker is going to be our first qualifier here in Season 4. It begins. You can see the creepy Skaven eyes in the background lurking behind the parchment. And yeah, well played. Gromby went out like an absolute ace, that's for sure. Nonetheless, A-Move Hacker is going to be the champion of today's qualifier. So let's go ahead and take one more look at the brackets and kind of see the journey of the players so far. So let's go ahead and go on over to challenge. So if we look, A-Move Hacker is going to be our champion. So we're going to update the score real quick. This is how you do it for anyone who's wondering. Oh, it's not letting me do it. Come on, let me do it. Really, it's not having it, huh? Usually it lets me update it. Maybe I just got to refresh the window real quick. So let's do that. Maybe I'm not logged in anymore. But anyways, A-Move Hacker, of course, we'll update that after the tournament's over. But usually you just click on the details here and it like pops up. But for some reason, this one's not popping up. So A-Move with a 3-1 victory. He did have a 2-0 victory against Ulrich All earlier, a 2-1 victory against F-Pod, a 2-0 against Central Scrutinizer, and then a 2-1 in the beginning. So actually almost dropping that series in the beginning, of course, but coming through to sweep across the board and win the grand finals against Tank. So that is the... Oh, you guys couldn't see it? Oh, is it because this was in the way? No, it should be there. So you guys should be able to see it. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for today, guys. That's going to be the finals of this qualifier. Congratulations to A-Move Hacker. He is going to be our champion. The first of 8 to qualify for the grand finals, which will be taking place in about 8 or 9 weeks, as you guys can probably guess. Yeah, it's been a It's been a really good run. Yeah, the double organ gun didn't pay off. They're pretty expensive investments. They got compromised fairly quickly by the Eagles during my coughing fit and some of the Cav and different things like that. But you have to say, A-Move playing really well today. We had some really, really good competition across the board, some familiar faces, some previous champions were competing, and of course they'll be back in the next weeks, I'm sure, as players can now try and qualify every single week, so there's no limitations on anything like that. Well, we just began. This is literally the first week, so there's still time for other people to qualify. And the tournaments are open now, so if you guys are interested in trying and putting your hat in the, or your name in the hat, you're more than welcome to, and we'll be having these every week. Yeah, it was great. It was great, and really, 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 really fun stuff. So we'll jump over and take a look at the armies real quick, actually see what the kills were on those units. And there we go. Cool. So as far as the armies go, I like the Grom Brindle pick. I think he's pretty cool. He has good AP, so he can, like, if somebody brings in like a surprise Durthu or like a powerhouse character like an Ancient Tree Man, he can chop them down. Dwarf Warriors and Longbeards always pretty solid, and the Quarrelers would have been much better against like a missile build from the Wood Elves, but the Wood Elves had a pretty wide infantry build, and I just don't think the Dwarves had the infantry quality to really match, that of these guys in conjunction with the Eagles and the Sisters and the pressure that the Ancient Tree Man brought. Also, the only thing that could really deal with the Ancient Tree Man and the Eagles effectively were the organ guns. I mean, yeah, the Quarrelers can, but with good juking, the Eagles usually can dodge Quarrelers, and the organ guns just got shut down so damn quickly. So yeah. And yes, players can re-enter. So you can try and qualify every single week, which is cool. Previously in Eternal Challenger League, it was like invitational and players can only try and qualify once. But now players who lost today, for example, can try and qualify every single week. So you're going to be seeing some faces and things like that. So yeah, it was a pretty big tournament. We had like 35 players today in total, I think. So again, guys, I want to thank you all so much for joining. It was an absolute blast. Congratulations to A-Move Hacker, our champion of the first qualifier. Well, qualifying for the finals and winning a $25 Steam gift card. And special thanks to all of you guys for the donations. I really appreciate that. From Stannis, Spirit of Gorg, Austin Taylor, Mr. Pig, Matthew Smith, Plessy, Italian Spartacus. We had one from Simon Benjamin, The Spark, King Agizal, Radio Plastic, Daggerick 9. We had one from Mustafa, King Agizal, opening up with a couple. And yeah, thank you guys so much for your support. Again, I always appreciate it. And as always, stay tuned. There's going to be more tournaments coming up soon. This is the Eternal Challenger League, Season 4 Qualifier number 1. A-Move Hacker is, again, our champion. And aside from that, guys, I'll see you in the next couple days. Got some fun stuff coming out. Maybe some tabletop content in the next couple weeks as well. Maybe feeling a little bit spicy there. We will see. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. And yeah, see you guys next time. Take care.